Hello everyone, and welcome to another amazing story. What if an ARK survivor was in RWBY? This amazing story was written by C4 Redragon. Please support them. Don't forget to like, sub and leave a comment. Now let's dive in. Chapter 1, Arrival. 7:30 *. A woman with blonde hair tied into a ponytail rises up from slumber and lets out a yawn. She slowly opened her eyes, revealing her green pupils. She heard a chirp and turned to her pet Charlie. Now most people would expect to see a cat or a dog, but Charlie happened to be a red and black Compsognathus with cyan feathers on its head. "Mornin', Charlie," the woman mumbled, petting the little dinosaur. The compy let out a happy chirp in response. The woman got out of bed to reveal she was fairly tall, around 5 to 6 feet. She stretched out her arms as she began to get her usual clothes on, desert cloth apparel painted in different shades of red and black with a cyan strap and belt. Charlie hopped on the woman's shoulder as she walked out of the room. The woman brewed some coffee from the cooking pot station next to the grill. She sipped it while she checked her firearms to make sure they were in good condition. Then she checked her tel generator to make sure it had plenty of element to keep it powered. "Enough for 10 years' worth," she commented, taking another sip of coffee. She then went outside to check her farm and industrial cooker. They were still doing fine. She then went over to her queen bee's hive to gather her share of honey. While she was doing this, however, she noticed something off. There weren't any wild dinos around, nor any of the locals from the Valguero village she lived next to. "That's weird," she thought to herself. She went back inside to put the honey in one of the refrigerators. She then went back out to investigate the strange occurrence. She looked around to see any sign of dinos or villagers. She then suddenly turned around and put her hand in a stopping gesture. "Stop," she said boldly. The creature that charged at her did just that, revealing it to be some kind of black werewolf with red eyes and white plates on its body. This one's new," she thought. "Easy now," she said in a soothing tone. The creature then lightly growled as it backed away, a bit confused. "I won't hurt you as long as you don't hurt me." The creature slowly became calm. The woman then slowly placed her hand on the creature's head and begun to pet it. The creature's fur turned red and the plates black, and finally its furious red eyes turned into a cool cyan blue. "See, that wasn't so bad, was it?" The woman smiled as she led her newest tame to the front of the house and left it to guard it as she went inside. Beacon Academy 9:00 *. The elevator doors opened as Glinda walked into the headmaster's office. "Ashbin, you may want to have a look at this," she told the headmaster. "Yes, what is it?" Ashbin asked, sipping his tea. "Or is it coffee?" Glinda gave him a tablet that showed recorded footage from a few hours ago. What he saw baffled him enough to spit out some tea/coffee. What was roaming around the forest in the footage was some bipedal red and black reptile with cyan feathers. "Is that a dinosaur?" Ashbin asked in shock. "Yes, Ashbin, a velociraptor, I believe." It looked left and right to see if the coast was clear, then let out a caw as it turned around, ran back into the forest. "This is certainly astonishing, Glinda," Ashbin said with curiosity. "We must have port examined this raptor," he continued, scratching his chin. "Glinda, get me Team RWBY," he ordered the blonde huntress. "Yes, of course," she replied as she returned to the elevator. "Time skip, asterisk. Oh me go to me go to me go to me god," Ruby shouted, prancing around, bouncing off walls. "It's an actual dinosaur," she squealed with excitement. "Miss Rose, please control yourself," Glinda said in a commanding tone. "Sorry." She shrunk down a little, embarrassed. So as you can see, there is an actual living, breathing prehistoric creature roaming around the Emerald Forest. This creature could be the last of its kind. We simply can't allow it to get slaughtered by the Grimm. That is why I want the 4 of you to sedate and capture it. "Don't worry, Headmaster, you can count on the unstoppable Team RWBY," Ruby proudly stated. Weiss just facebombed as usual at the remark, while Yang chuckled and shook her head. "Emerald Forest, 10:28 a.m. Sergeant, report," said a woman in some fancy light gray and white military uniform. "Commander, it appears some vortex or portal has engulfed our camp overnight and has taken us to an entirely new planet, one not connected to the ARK galaxy. There are no wild dinos in sight, which means we have no dinos to convert into techs. That would explain how quiet it has been, as well as the unusual scenery." The commander thought to herself. "What of the strange wolf creature you have captured?" she asked. "We don't know much, ma'am, but whatever it isn't natural. It doesn't even have blood of any kind," the sergeant said with a pale look on his face. "Interesting. Can it be cyberized into a tech?" she asked. "It may be possible, ma'am, however it will take some time to construct the blueprints to successfully cyberize the creature." "Then tell those damn eggheads to get on it." "Commander," shouted another female officer. "One of our scout drones spotted a red, black and cyan raptor." So, she's here as well? Send out an attack party, have them kill anybody they come across. The commander ordered. This world may not be connected to the Ark, but that does not mean we can leave any witnesses. Yes, ma'am. Emerald Forest 11:20 *. Alright, the dinosaur should be around this area, said Blake. I can't believe we're about to capture a real live dinosaur, Ruby said in excitement. This is so awesome. Ruby, be quiet, you dolt, Weiss scolded her leader. We don't want to alert it to our presence. I mean, to be fair, it's not every day we see an freaking dinosaur, Yang stated. Shoo, it's close, Blake told her teammates. The huntresses in training slowly peeped through the bushes to see a red and black raptor with cyan feathers grooming itself. Okay, we found it, now what's the plan? Yang whispered. Okay, we'll slowly surround it. I'll fire this tranquilizer that Ashbin gave me. Once it hits, Weiss will hold it in place with her glyphs while Blake and Yang will rush out and pin it down, Ruby suggested. Well, I don't suppose anybody else has a better plan? Scoffed Weiss. Nope, shrugged Yang. Very well, then let's get into position. Weiss sighed. The girls slowly crouched toward their positions, taking caution not to alarm the dino. Yang, however, didn't pay attention to where she was stepping and accidentally stepped on a twig. Snap, *. Yang cringed and stood still, hoping she didn't give her and her team away. The raptor looked toward the noise and paused. It then went back to grooming itself. Everyone sighed in relief as they made it to their positions. Ruby then quietly loaded in the tranquilizer into crescent rows and took aim. She then turned on her scroll. Okay, on 3, team, she whispered into her scroll. 3, 2. Before Ruby could pull the trigger, she suddenly felt something cold press onto the back of her head. I hope you weren't planning on shooting my raptor with that. 36 Chapter 2, New World. Ashley was sitting at a log next to her raptor, watching the 4 strange kids apologizing frantically to her. We're so sorry, Miss Wedded no it was year, but I swear weren't gonna her tight, please forgive us. The red and black one blabbered. Slow down, I can't understand you, Ashley told her. What our friend was trying to say is that we are truly sorry for attempting to attack your pet, the white one said in a professional manner. You kids are lucky I didn't shoot you on the spot without thinking. There are a lot of things that want to kill me out here. I could have mistaken you for bandits or Federation troopers. Federation troopers? Asked the black one. You know, the military organization that's trying to wipe out the natives off all the world's Ark system, including Valguero. Valguero? This is Remnant. Ashley paused for a moment as she went over all the unusual things she witnessed today. There were no wild dinos. There was a new creature she's never seen before. The landscape was unfamiliar. The Valguero village was missing. And now she was seeing little colorful girls with crazy-looking weapons. So that explains all the weird shit I've been seeing, she thought. I don't think they ever had any encounters with anything out of their world, so I should cut the conversation. Well, anyways, I accept your apology, Ashley said, standing up and saddling her raptor. Now head back home, it's getting dark and you kids shouldn't be out here anyways. Excuse me, we are perfectly capable of protecting ourselves, scoffed the white one. Just go home, kids. She started riding off back to her home. Wait, we gotta take you back to Ashbin, it's urgent that he speaks with you, said the black one. Yeah, no, she replied. The she and the raptor then ran off into the forest. Ruby dashed after her, leaving behind rose petals. But not even she was fast enough. The raptor and the woman were long gone. Her teammates caught up with her. Sorry guys, I lost her, Ruby told them. Well, maybe not, I managed to sneak my scroll onto her raptor while she was talking. We can use Ruby's scroll to track my own and hence we'll track her, Weiss told her team. Nice one, Snowflake. Yang gave her a hard pat on the back. We should probably report back to Ashbin first, see what he has to say about this, Blake suggested. Meanwhile, Ashley looked behind her to see if she lost the kids. No sign of them, she muttered. So Ashley was now stuck on a world that wasn't part of the Ark system, a world filled with odd shadow creatures and weird kids with crazy weapons. At least the Federation isn't here. Suddenly a rocket hit nearby her and her raptor, sending them flying 10 feet. Scratch that last part, the Federation was here as well. Shit. Zoe, flank him, Ashley ordered her raptor, as she pulled out her revolver. The raptor got up and did as it was told and ran into the forest to get the jump on them. Ashley popped the first 2 soldiers that came into view, but her shoulder got grazed by a 3rd soldier, causing her to take cover behind a tree as more soldiers came through and began shredding her cover with gunfire. Shit, 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 Ashley shouted in panic. She pulled out a cryopod to the side of the soldiers and it released a Allosaurus with the usual red, black and cyan colors, which immediately chomped down on the nearest soldier, and Zoe came out from behind the soldiers and pounced on another one, Ashley dove out from what was left of her cover and took out the remaining 2 soldiers with her revolver before she landed on her side. Just when the coast seemed clear, she then was fired upon from a Valkyrie above. Federation soldier in tech armor that flies with a jetpack. Ashley got to her feet and dashed behind a rock as the Valkyrie emptied her clip. Soon as she heard the click of an empty gun, she then took aim with her revolver and shot the jetpack in its weak spot, causing the Valkyrie to fly out of control screaming before exploding. Ashley then got pounced on by a cybernetic tech raptor. This raptor looks like it was just recently converted into a cyborg by the Federation. The mindless machine was about to bite down on Ashley's face, but Zoe came to her rescue and tackled the tech raptor off her master. The two wrestled around until Zoe managed to tear out one of the tech raptor's wires, causing the machine to short-circuit. Ashley seized her chance and popped the raptor, putting an end to its suffering. Ashley made sure there weren't any Federation troops left before she began to catch her breath. Well, so much for not having to worry about the Federation. The Allosaurus crunches the bones of a nearby corpse, causing Ashley to cringe in disgust. God, Scarlet, I told you not eat dead people near me. She covered her mouth, trying not to vomit. Beacon Academy 1:05 p.m. *. Are you sure? Asked Ashbin through the scroll. 100% headmaster, said Young. It was a human woman that must be from another world. Interesting, a woman who tamed a raptor, and a Compsognathus. Ashbin thought. And you are able to track her location? Yes, but she refused to come with us and ran off. We may have to bring her over by force. Weiss stated. Perhaps that won't be necessary, Ms. Schnee. Why don't Glinda and I come to her and try to reason with her? Headmaster, I don't think that's nonsense. We will meet you at her location shortly. Ashbin then turned off his scroll. Ashbin, are you sure this is a wise course of action? Glinda asked with concern. The woman could be dangerous for all we know. She was merely protecting her pet. That's completely understandable why she showed aggression at first, not to mention, she realized the misunderstanding and she forgave the children. Ashbin replied. Well, okay then, just know I'm still skeptical about this. Glinda retorted. Good, now let's go meet this Ashley Dune, shall we? Ashley's home 1:30 m*. Ashley put the shadow wolf thing she tamed this morning in a cryopod. And went back inside. This world is even weirder than Aberration. She sighed. She put the cryopod in the cryofridge, and laid back into a wooden chair next to her table. What am I gonna do now? She thought to herself. Ashley hoped the Federation would focus their efforts on tracking her instead of going after the villagers that were now vulnerable without her there to protect them. But at the same time, she didn't want to get the people of this world killed by the Federation just because she happened to be on their world. Ashley was currently in a lose-lose situation. But she would find a way to get out of it, probably. Ashley dear, any idea on where we ended up? Said an older female voice. Ashley looked over to a red, black and cyan Gallimimus with glasses. Not even the slightest clue. She sighed once more. Why am I not surprised? Said the Gallimimus. You just can't do anything right for me, can you? Oh, shut the fuck up, Olivia. Ashley snapped back at the talking Gallimimus. I ain't the mad scientist who switched brains with a Gallimimus. It was an experiment that simply went wrong. It happens. Olivia scoffed. I wouldn't expect a ex-paleontologist like you to understand. Yeah, you seem to have a lot of those, don't ya? Ashley barked. After all, you're the very fucking reason I got this damn thing in my arm. The implant prototype proved to be successful. I don't know what you're crying about. Do you know what dying is like, Olivia? Well, do ya? Sneered Ashley. Well, let me tell you, it ain't fucking peaceful, that's for fucking sure. No, it's fucking painful as hell, Olivia. Dying fucking hurts. Oh, please, you haven't died in the last 2 months. Olivia barked back. If anything, you should be thanking me. Before she could continue the argument, Ashley suddenly heard her parasaur giving its warning call. Shit, not now. Ashley panicked, grabbing her ascendant sawed-off and kicking open the door, aiming the shotgun at the kids from before. Ashley let out a sigh of relief and lowered her weapon. Oh, it's just you kids, said Ashley. I thought I told you 4 to go ho. Wait, how did you find me? Weiss put her scroll into your pet raptor's bag. The red one chimed. RWBY. The white one, apparently called Weiss, yelled at her friend. Don't tell her that. I knew, should have checked for any trackers on the way back. Ashley muttered under her breath. Ashley Dunes, I presume? Said an old man in a black coat carrying a cane coming out of the woods. Yeah, that's me. She hesitated. And who are you? I am Ashbin, the headmaster of Beacon Academy. The man replied. And the woman beside me is Professor Glinda Goodwitch. He gestured toward the blonde woman that also had green eyes in a fancy white and black teacher uniform. I apologize for startling you as well as trespassing on your property, but I would appreciate it if we could speak with you. Ashley looked around thinking, and she sighed. Why don't you all come in first? I'll cook you something up. 36 Chapter 3, New Friends Old Foes. Ashbin and Glinda sat at Ashley's table along with Weiss, Blake and Young. Ruby was over petting Charlie the compy. "Alright, here's the food, everyone," Ashley announced to her guests as she placed a plate of baked sauerkraut, a medium well-cooked steak and some roasted tintaberries for each person. "Olivia, dinner's ready," Ashley hollered. "Who's Olivia?" asked Weiss. Yes, I'm coming, dear, no need to yell," said Olivia. Everyone saw a Gallimimus with glasses come out. "Must you always be so the Gallimimus then noticed everyone. "Did that Gallimimus just talk?" asked a stunned Glinda. "Ashley, who are these people?" The Gallimimus muttered to Ashley. "Everyone, this is Professor Olivia Oakwood," Ashley introduced her. "Or the Gallimimus that has the brain of Olivia Oakwood to be exact, she switched brains with it." "You switched brains with a dinosaur?" Glinda said in shock. "Why on Remnant would you do such a thing?" "For science, my dear, we mustn't be afraid to push past any boundaries for the betterment of mankind," Olivia retorted. "She did it because she's a sociopathic mad scientist that doesn't care about anyone's safety including her own," said Ashley. "That's a rather harsh way of putting it," Olivia scoffed. "It's true and you know it, Olivia," Ashley said as she put Olivia's plate on the ground. "Why can't I eat at the table?" Olivia asked her. "Because your breath smells terrible and I don't want to be sniffing that while I'm eating, plus you eat like a pig." "How humiliating," Olivia muttered to herself. "I must say, Ms. Dunes, your food is wonderful," Ashbin said after taking a bite. "You certainly know how to cook." "Well, I've been surviving for a long time. I needed to learn how to make anything edible enjoyable," Ashley replied. Ashley sat down with her plate when Ruby tapped on her on the shoulder. Ashley saw that Ruby was already holding onto an empty plate and had berry juice smothered across her mouth. "Can I have some more, please?" she said with puppy eyes. "Sure," Ashley said, handing Ruby her plate. "So Ashbin, right?" Ashley turned to ask the old man. "What is it you wanted to tell me?" "Well, where should I start? I mean, a human woman from another world. I thought human life only existed on Remnant. Many other human-inhabited worlds tend to think that as well." Ashley shrugged. "Hell, on my old home world of Earth, we used to think we were the only world that had humans. And these pets of yours, they're all prehistoric creatures thought to be long extinct. Do they exist on this Earth too?" "Well, they were extinct on my home world as well." Ashley rubbed the back of her head. "But just like humans, we've discovered that dinosaurs existed across the universe." Everyone went wide-eyed upon hearing Ashley. She pulled out a paper that showed some kind of galaxy. "While they perished through most worlds including yours and mine, we found a galaxy where prehistoric life thrived. We called it the Arc System. I remember how excited I was to see real-life dinosaurs for the first time." Ashley smiled but then looked down. "Unfortunately, the corporation that I was once a part of had other plans with the creatures." "What do you mean?" asked Glinda. "Prehistoric times had some of the deadliest creatures that ever lived, and if corporations and governments found out that they still existed on other worlds, what do you think they would do?" Ashley asked them. "They would try to capture them," Ashbin said. "Weaponize them, sell them for profit." "Exactly." Ashbin could see that Ashley was not comfortable talking about this, so he decided to change the subject. "So I suppose the ability to tame all these creatures is your semblance?" Ashley looked at Ashbin as if he was speaking gibberish. "My what now?" she asked, dumbfounded. "Your semblance," he replied. "Your manifestation of personal power projected by your aura." Ashley now looked at Ashbin as he was crazy. "I have no idea what you're talking about," she said. "Ashbin," Glinda whispered. "I can't sense her aura. It may sound crazy, but I don't think she has aura at all." Ashbin looked at Ashley in surprise. "Do you not have aura?" Ashley shook her head. "I don't even know what aura is, to be honest." "Aura is the manifestation of our soul," Glinda explained. "It shields our bodies from harm." "Huh, yeah, I don't have that," Ashley said to them. Everyone gasped. "You don't have a soul?" yelled Weiss. "Well, yeah, I have a soul, but it doesn't work like that for me," Ashley explained. "I overheard you all," said Olivia, walking over to them. "I may have a theory, but I'd need a quick experiment. Ms. Belladonna, correct? Could you shoot Ms. Goodwitch here for me, dear?" "What?" Blake freaked out. "No. Oh, relax, I meant shoot her somewhere non-fatal like the arm. It's not like I'm asking you to kill her." Olivia rolled her eyes. "What crazy idea do you got cooked up now, Olivia?" Ashley barked at her. "I wish to do a test, Ashley, to see the result of how aura would react to an attack to a native of Remnant compared to how it would react to an attack from a being of another world." Ashley sighed and shook her head. "Do you really have to see that? I'm sure they're semblances." "Aura," Weiss corrected. "Right, their aura will absorb any attack regardless," Ashley told them. Ashley, you know how I am about research. Ashley sighed. She knew Olivia wasn't gonna stop bugging till they did it. Alright, look, instead of shooting her, why don't we just talk this knife and drag it across her palm to see if it draws blood? Well, I suppose that works too. Olivia shrugged. Well, I guess if Professor Goodwitch is alright with it. Go ahead, child, I'll be okay. Glinda said, putting her palm out. Ashley handed Blake the knife. Blake was hesitant to drive the knife across, but she ended up doing it. Unsurprisingly, Glinda's aura absorbed it. Interesting. Olivia muttered. Now Ashley, you do the same. Ashley took the blade and placed it on the end of Glinda's palm, and then drove it across. Gah! Glinda winced. Everyone stared in shock to see blood dripping from Glinda's palm. Ashley grabbed some bandages and some disinfectant and began tending to Glinda's wound. Just as I suspected. Olivia stated. Your aura only protects you from things native to your world. The talking Gallimimus then began to pace back and forth. And since me and Ashley are not from Remnant, I have reason to believe that in the mind of aura, figuratively speaking, it sees us as an illusion, or a hallucination. Which means it won't defend itself from us because it doesn't believe we are real. So our aura is ineffective against anything or anyone off-planet? Asked Ashbin. Precisely. Said Olivia. To our it simply Ashley could easily kill Glinda just as easily Glinda could kill Ashley. This was very concerning for Ashbin. If Ironwood found out about this stunning revelation, he would surely panic, and maybe even start an unnecessary war with another world. If I may, I wish to run tests on you all. I must know more of how the remnant human operates. Proposed Olivia. Olivia, they're not guinea pigs. Ashley snapped at her. Well, obviously, a guinea pig would not be constantly giving me lip. She scoffed. So if you don't have aura or a semblance, how did you tame these dinosaurs? Asked RWBY. Well, the villagers from the various worlds of the Ark system said I was the last of special type of people. Ashley said. They would always call me Beastmaster. Beastmaster? Ashbin asked, intrigued. Well, from what I know, sometimes a person is born with a mark. Ashley stood up and turned around and moved her ponytail to reveal a mark on the back of her neck. This is the mark of the Beastmaster. She stated. They told me whoever bears this mark had the ability to bend nature to their command. That's so awesome. RWBY said. How many other Beastmasters are back on your world? Ashley became a little down. Like I said, they told me I was the last Beastmaster. She said. Oh. RWBY said, feeling a little bad. I would occasionally find tombs of ancient Beastmasters during my travels across the Arks. Ashley said. The writings in them said they were wiped out in some kind of war with beings of another world. Ashley gulped. Then the ghost of the ancient Beastmaster inhabiting each tomb would try to kill me cause I was trespassing on their burial ground. You fought undead ghost warriors? Yang asked. That is so cool. Not really, I got my ass handed to them. Ashley said, remembering how terrifyingly badass the ancient Beastmasters were at kicking butt. I would love to fight an undead ghost warrior. Yang boasted. Careful what you wish for, Yang. Ashley warned the blonde. What's that implant in your wrist? Asked Glinda. Ah yes, my prototype specimen implant. Olivia cut in. This invention of mine was created to bring the host it was planted in back to life whenever the host was killed. What now? That's preposterous. Weiss shouted. I assure you it's all true. Olivia retorted. Ashley, prove it to them. Olivia, I'm not gonna kill myself in front of people just to prove your point. Well, why not? She scoffed. I don't want to traumatize these kids. Ashley snapped at her. Oh please, they've obviously seen combat before, it's not gonna hurt them to see a little blood. Olivia snorted. Olivia, are you even listening to yourself? Of course I am. I just wonder if anyone else even Boda. Ashley dear, what's that dot on your forehead? Dot? Ashley asked before her eyes went wide and she turned around, pulling out her revolver. But it was too late. A bullet broke the window and went straight through Ashley's forehead. Her lifeless corpse fell to the ground in front of everybody. Ashley! RWBY screamed. The Federation sniper loaded another round into the chamber as the people accompanying Dr. Doones dove into cover. Targets down. The sniper radioed his squad. Move in and kill the others before she comes back. Copy that, we're closing in. Oh dear, they found us. Olivia panicked as she hid under the table. Save me, you simpletons. Blake peeked out the window to see strange men and women in military-like uniforms closing in on them. The Parasaur and Moschops ran into the trees to hide. Blake then ducked, avoiding another shot from the sniper. The snipers has friends with him. She shouted to the others. Ashbin leaned next to the door as one of the soldiers kicked the door open. He knocked the rifle out of his hands and thwacked him in his Adam's apple. The soldier behind him opened fire on Ashbin but ended hitting her comrade instead. RWBY stood out from cover and shot the other soldier in the face. It worked a little too well as RWBY stood there looking in shock at the person she just killed. Ack! The sniper fired and grazed RWBY in the cheek. RWBY! Yang yelled, seeing her sister get hurt caused her hair to glow and her eyes to turn red as she went berserk and jumped through the window and launched herself at the sniper's direction. The sniper was caught off guard of how the girl used her shotgun gauntlets to launch herself at a terrifying speed at him. Before he could pull the trigger, Yang landed on him and begun emptying her shells into the screaming sniper. With the sniper out of the way, the others were free to engage the rest of the soldiers head-on. Glinda and Ashbin weren't as shocked as the kids since they've seen bloodshed and death before. But it still managed to put their stomachs in knots. A robotic raptor pounced on Weiss, but Charlie came to her rescue and pounced on its back, distracting it long enough for Weiss to shove Mertenaster through its mouth, killing it. Blake ended up tearing the leg off a soldier when she was just trying to cripple him. The results made her sick. Glinda took out the last 2 soldiers with her wand. "Put your weapons down or I'll blow her fucking brains out." Everyone turned to see one last soldier had RWBY in a headlock with a handgun to her head. "Put your fucking weapons down." Ashbin now knew Aura wasn't gonna save RWBY from an outworlder. "Everyone do as she says," Ashbin ordered as he put his cane down. The rest soon followed. "Now here's what's gonna happen. We're all gonna wait here for backup to arrive, and then me and the others are gonna key." The soldier was cut off by a bullet to her head. The soldier collapsed to the ground dead. Everyone looked behind them to see Ashley alive and well in the upper window with a sniper rifle. "Is everyone okay?" she called out to them. "Ashley, you're alive." RWBY squealed with joy and dashed into the house. "RWBY, wait, I'm..." They heard RWBY scream in embarrassment. "Naked. Straight face," Ashley sighed. 36 Chapter 4, Road to Beacon. Everyone waited outside with RWBY, whose face was red as a tomato from seeing Ashley naked. While the implant Olivia claimed to bring Ashley back to life happened to work, the same couldn't be said about her clothes. "Okay, you can all come in, I'm dressed now," Ashley hollered. Everyone went inside to see Ashley back in her desert cloth apparel wrapping up her old corpse in a sheet. "And you can come out, Olivia, the feds are dead," she sighed. Olivia peeked out from the table. "Oh good, I knew they had no chance of succeeding the whole time," she attempted to boast. "Oh, I'm sure you did," said Weiss, rolling her eyes. "By the way, Ashley, did you take out the old implant from your dead body?" Olivia asked the Beastmaster. "Yep," Ashley said, holding up a now dull-colored implant. "Perfect, hold on to it, dear," Olivia said. "I need those for my research." Ashley turned to her guests and rubbed the back of her head. "I'm sorry you all had to see that," she apologized. "The Federation will kill anything in their way." "So this is the Federation you were speaking of?" Ashbin asked. "Yep," Ashley replied to him. "What was that robotic raptor that attacked me?" Weiss asked. Ashley looked down and balled her hand into a fist. "That was once a regular raptor till the Federation got their hands on it," she said with a hint of anger in her voice. "This is why the Federation came to the Ark system, to capture these creatures and turn them into bloodthirsty war machines against their will." She growled. "I've seen how they operate on them while they were awake. Not even bothering to tranquilize them, I could hear their screams of pain from constant torture of having metal and wires being fused into them. That's horrible." Glinda held her hand to her mouth in disgust. She knew of animal cruelty, but this was a whole other level. "I can see why you hate them now," Ashbin said. "They murder the innocent to cover up their indecent acts of cruelty to these prehistoric creatures." Ashbin took the time to think. "Ashley Dunes, I wish to have you and Olivia become part of the staff over at Beacon Academy," he proposed. Ashley gave it some thought. "What are we supposed to be teaching kids over at this academy of yours?" she asked. "You will be training future huntsmen to fight the forces of darkness and to protect the innocent," Ashbin explained. "Plus we could use your cooking skills. Not only would you have your own class, but we would like to put you in charge of the cafeteria." "Well, the Federation already found where I've been holed up, plus I wouldn't mind passing my survival skills to the next generation." "All right, give me some time to pack my things and dinos." "How can you pack giant dinosaurs?" asked Blake. "Like this," Ashley said, holding up a blue pod to Olivia. "Don't you dare stuff me in a cryop." The pod then stored Olivia in it. "That's awesome," squealed RWBY. "I know, right? These cryopods store my dinos and keep them safe," Ashley explained. "Plus they're very lightweight." Ashley then noticed Yang by the dead sniper huddled by a tree. "Let me speak with her," Ashley said, heading towards her. Ashley saw how brutal Yang was to the unfortunate sniper. His face was turned to mush. "Damn." Ashley winced at the sight. She looked over to see Yang covered in his blood in a state of shock. Ashley knelt down to her and put her hand on Yang's shoulder. Yang looked up with a tear in her eye. I didn't mean to kill him, I'm just so used to people having aura that I. Yang, it's all right. Ashley said, comforting her. I know the feeling you have right now. I've been there myself. Try to keep your mind on something else, trust me, it helps. Ashley smiled. Yang was reluctant to answer, but she nodded her head in response. All right, you should head back to your friends, they're worried about you. Time skip, asterisk. Everyone was waiting by the bullhead for Ashley to finish packing. So I guess this means we're gonna have a new professor then, said Yang. I still have doubts about her, said Weiss. I happen to like her, said RWBY. I'm curious as to what she will be teaching us, said Blake. Charlie jumped on Glinda's shoulder and chirped, which caused Glinda to jump in fright. Ashbin, what do I do? She panicked. What do I do, Ashbin? Relax, Glinda. Ashbin reached out his hand. He seems friendly enough. The compy jumped on his hand and ran up to his shoulder. All right, everyone, I got everything I need, Ashley said, coming toward the bullhead with a bunch of bags. Hey, I see Charlie was getting to know you guys. Ashley chuckled. Charlie here, boy. Charlie chirped and jumped onto Ashley's shoulder. So this is the aircraft that's gonna take us to the academy? Ashley asked. Yep, this is a bullhead, it helps us huntsmen get to places faster. RWBY explained. Huh, so it's basically a fancy helicopter? Ashley asked. What's a helicopter? Asked RWBY. Never mind. You all gonna get on or not? Shouted the pilot. Right, sorry man. Ashley hollered back. Everyone got on board and sat down as the fancy bulldog took off. Pilot, I'd recommend flying just above the forest to avoid the Federation. Ashley hollered to the pilot. Federation, what's that? Yelled the pilot. Did nobody bother to tell this guy? Ashley groaned at the others. Everyone look away and muttered. Asterisk sigh, asterisk, they're bad guys from my world, just watch out for them, K. Ashley hollered. Sure, whatever. Federation Base Camp 2:00 p.m. asterisk. How's the progress going on the creature? The Federation commander asked, walking in on the scientist. It's difficult since the creature is lacking vital organs for the TEK material to latch onto, the scientist replied. But we managed to complete the first phase. Sergeant Adler reported that creature had no blood, the commander retorted. So the second phase should not be a problem for you. Yes, the creature astonishingly did not have any blood to be removed, so we could skip straight to pumping oil into it, stayed the scientist. Commander, we found this near the entrance. A soldier called out, carrying a note. The commander took the note from the soldier and opened the note to read. I have seen you and your comrades' actions, believe we could be of use to each other. If you are interested, meet me at these coordinates tonight and we'll talk. The commander raised a brow and put the note in her shirt pocket. Any word from the scouting parties we've sent out? She asked the soldier. We lost contact with both, we believe Dr. Dunes took out both of them. The soldier replied. Unsurprising. She muttered. I want 2 commandos to accompany me tonight. The commander ordered. Yes ma'am, right away ma'am. The soldier said and ran off to get the commandos. The commander looked through the window. Very well, I'll hear you out. Above Emerald Forest, 2:20 p.m. Your world have dragons? RWBY jumped up and down in excitement. They were technically wyverns. Ashley corrected. Dragons were a whole other species. Well, Ms. Dunes, the worlds you have explored sound astonishing, Ashbin said, intrigued. I wish we had the technology to travel off Remnant and visit these places. Well, they may be pretty, but they're very dangerous. Ashley replied. Not to mention I don't even know how I got here in the first place. They could be thousands if not millions of light years away. By the way, you guys don't happen to have any way to play music in this thing, do you? She asked the pilot. No sorry ma'am, responded the pilot. Well, good thing I brought my music player. She smiled. Y'all don't mind if I play some Johnny Cash? Who? They asked. He's the best country singer ever. I never heard of a genre called country, said Weiss. You all need to listen to what you've been missing. She smirked. Ashley selected the song, Folsom Prison Blues. And the song begun. Charlie chirped happily and begun to do a little dance. This is Charlie's favorite song. Ashley explained. I hear the train a-coming, it's rolling around the bend and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Wow, this song's pretty catchy. Yang said, tapping her foot. Yeah, I like it, said RWBY, doing the same. I actually find it irritating. Groaned Weiss. Oh come, who doesn't like the man in black? Ashley said cheerfully. I don't. Deadpanned Weiss. Time skip, asterisk. The bulldog landed and everyone jumped out. RWBY and Yang were singing along with Ashley. I fell into a burning ring of fire. Please stop singing. Weiss groaned. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. Stop singing. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. Stop singing, you dolts. Weiss yelled. All right, we'll stop. Ashley chuckled. Well, Ms. Dunes, it is my tremendous pleasure to welcome you to Beacon Academy, Ashbin said with a smile. Ashley let out a whistle. Wow, you got a fancy place, Ashbin. Ashley complimented the headmaster. Hey, who are they? He saw 5 adults walking towards them. Ah yes, Ashley, these are the other professors that are teaching here. This is Professor Bartholomew Oobleck, he teaches our students Remnants history. Ashbin introduced the spiked green-haired man with glasses. The man called Oobleck dashed forward to Ashley, startling her. Amazing, he said, studying Charlie. An actual living, breathing Compsognathus. Wow, you are really fast. Ashley said, a little unnerved by how speedy Oobleck was. Tell me, is your Compsognathus a scavenger as paleontologists theorized? Oobleck asked. Well, yes and no. If they were in a large group they would gang up on anything as big as a Parasaurolophus. Ashley explained. Really? He said, amazed. Fascinating. Ashbin told me you had other dinosaurs. I must see them. This is extraordinary. Maybe later, Professor Oobleck. She said. I still need to get settled in. Yes, of course. Oobleck said, regaining his composure. Anyways, Ashbin continued. This here is Professor Anne Green. She teaches stealth and security. It's a pleasure to meet a person from another world. She smiled, shaking her hand. So why are you wearing a fox tail? Ashley asked. I'm sorry? She said in an offended tone. I'm just wondering why you're wearing a fake fox tail. Ashley said naively. Ms. Dunes, and is what we call a faunus. Glinda explained. Faunus are people with animal ears or a tail. Really? Ashley said, shocked. That's awesome. Everyone was taken back by how Ashley was actually fascinated by a faunus. I'd love to have my very own cat ears and tail. She said. Ah, really? And said, surprised. Yeah, in fact a lot of men from my world would consider you downright sexy. Do you really think so? She smiled and blushed. I know so. Ashley smiled. Right. Ashbin said. Now this is Professor Harold Mulberry. He teaches weapon crafting and upkeep. I'd like to see your weapons sometime, Ms. Dunes. He said, shaking her hand. By the way, have you been taking care of your weapon, Ms. Rose? He asked RWBY. Yes, I have, Professor, RWBY said proudly. Crescent Rose is in tip-top shape. Harold smiled and gave her a nod. This here is Professor Thumbelina Peach. She teaches plant science, and she keeps the plant life around Beacon in tip-top shape. Peach went to shake Ashley's hand, but Charlie suddenly screeched and snapped at her, making her jump back. Charlie! Ashley said, shocked at her compy. I am so sorry, he's never like that with anyone. She apologized to Peach. That's quite all right, Ms. Dunes. She smiled nervously. And finally, this is Professor Peterport. Ashbin said. He teaches our students about the Grimm they must slay. What are Grimm? Ashley said, confused. Grimm are vile, soulless creatures of destruction that are drawn to feelings of negativity. Port explained. Wait, do they look shadowy with white bone plates on them? Ashley asked suddenly. That's an bland description, but yes. Port assured her. Ashley suddenly started rummaging in her bag that held her dinos in cryopods. Then pulled out one, clicked the button to release it and throw it to the side of her. And out popped the creature she tamed this morning. Beowulf. RWBY screamed. Everyone immediately drew their weapons ready to kill it. Whoa! 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 He's friendly now, I tamed him. Ashley yelled, jumping in between the huntsman and the Beowulf. Grimm can't be tamed. Weiss yelled. Well, I did this morning. She replied. Can't you see he's not aggressive? Everybody looked at the Beowulf, but noticed its fur was red and plates were black and its eyes were a cool cyan blue. Dear said Port, you actually can tame Grimm. Yeah? Ashley said in an unsure tone. It was at that moment that Ashbin realized how special Ashley really was. She could be the very edge they need in stopping her. Chapter 5, The New Teacher. Beacon Academy Teachers Break Room 3:00 p.m. So Ms. Dunes, since your ability as a beastmaster can't be passed down, what could you teach our next generation of huntsmen? Said a curious Oobleck. Well, having to survive in multiple harsh environments and suffering multiple deaths to feds, wild dinos, and cannibalistic savages. I've picked up on how to carry more than a single weapon. Ashley said, sipping a cup of tea. I see your students tend to carry around only one weapon. I think it would be a good idea for them to have backups in case they get disarmed. A class about sidearms could be useful to the students, Ashbin stated. However, we will have to make your class an optional elective. Are you all right with that? I'm okay with that, headmaster. Ashley said. Oh, by the way, do you guys do a dinner time for the students? Why yes, Glinda. You may get started cooking after the assembly. Assembly? Ashley asked a bit confused. To introduce our dear students to their new teacher. Glinda smiled. New teacher, oh you mean me. Ashley said, chuckling, a little embarrassed she didn't catch on right away. Beacon Academy Assembly Room 330. All the students were chattering to each other in the giant assembly room. Students, may I have your attention please? Announced Goodwitch. Our headmaster has something to say. Everyone went quiet as Ashbin took the microphone. My beloved students of Beacon, I believe you are all wondering why I've brought you here today. He said. Well, it is because Beacon has a new teacher and I would appreciate if we could all give a warm welcome to her. Ashbin smiled. Everyone, I'd like you to meet Professor Ashley Dunes. Ashbin gestured to Ashley. No way, isn't that the lady that has pet dinosaurs? Whispered one student. This is awesome, we have a dino taming teacher. Whispered another. Ashbin handed the mic to Ashley. Asterisk gulp asterisk hi everyone. She said nervously. Hi dino lady, screamed a particular orange-haired girl. Asterisk cough, asterisk so yeah, as you may have heard, I'm from another world which has living breathing dinosaurs. Show us a T-Rex, shouted a student. Yeah, show us, hollered another. Heh, maybe some other time I will, Ashley chuckled. Anyways, you kids already have plenty of combat-related classes with your main weapons, so Ashbin and I decided that I will teach a class based on sidearms and explosives. It will be an optional elective, but I would recommend taking it. The students began murmuring to each other upon hearing of the new class. All in all, I look forward to sharing my knowledge with the next generation of young men and women. Thank you for having me become a part of Beacon Academy. Ashley said with a smile. Glinda took back the mic. Thank you, Professor Dunes, she said. Now when her class is officially set up, you will all be given the chance to sign up for it. Are there any questions before we end the assembly? Nobody spoke a word. Well then, you are all dismissed. Beacon Academy Cafeteria 4:00 p.m. Ashley gave Blake some cooked saber-tooth salmon. Boy, you really like fish meat, Blake. Ashley chuckled. You sure you don't want to try the steak? No thanks, Professor Dunes. She replied. Ashley looked to see the kids enjoying the food she cooked up and smiled. Cardan, please stop. Then she noticed some kids pulling on some rabbit Faunus's ear. Tisk, I guess every world has their versions of bullies. Ashley said. Harming a student as a teacher was frowned upon, but maybe there's a way to teach these little pricks a lesson without hurting them. Ashley took out a cryopod and threw it to the side of her. Out popped a red and black Dilophosaur with cyan frills. Hey Lilac, how you doing, girl? Ashley asked, petting the spitter. Lilac cooed in response. I need you to do something, girl. You see that rabbit girl over there? Ashley said, pointing at the girl. I want you to follow her around and keep her safe, but without hurting any students. The prehistoric spitter chirped and scurried toward the boy bullying the rabbit girl. Lilac then screeched to get the boy's attention. What the hell is the? Lilac then shot black gunk into his face, blinding him and sending him running into a wall. The dino jumped on the table and opened its frills and roared, scaring off the boy's teammates. The dillo then turned to the rabbit girl and cooed. The girl looked surprised and looked toward Ashley, who simply smiled and waved. The girl mouthed a thank you and continued to her seat with Lilac following her. Well, that takes care of that, Ashley said with smirk. She looked to see she was out of berries and veggies. I should go ask Peach if she'd be willing to share her greenhouse, Ashley thought. All the students have been served their meal already, so I can head over to her classroom real quick. Ashley then grabbed one of each plant seed and walked out of the cafeteria and on her way to Peach's classroom. But left Charlie behind so he wouldn't attack Peach. It was odd that Charlie took a disliking to Peach. He's usually kind to everyone, well except people who are trying to kill him or Ashley. Professor Peach's classroom 4:15 p.m. Peach heard a knock on her door and opened it to see Ashley at the door. Hey Peach, I used up the last of my berries and vegetables on the kids and I was hoping I could use your greenhouse to grow some more? She asked. Oh, of course, Ms. Dunes, let me unlock the greenhouse for you. Peach smiled. Thanks, Peach. Ashley got inside and saw thousands of different types of plant life growing a little out of control. Peach, shouldn't you trim these plants a bit? Ashley asked, a little concerned. I don't think it's good to have them overgrowing like this. Nonsense, they are perfectly fine as they are. I would never harm a plant in my life. Peach suddenly snapped. Okay, geez, Ashley said, putting her hands up. Peach sighed. I'm terribly sorry about that outburst, Ms. Dunes. It's just that it feels like I'm the only one here who actually respects plant life. Peach explained. Don't get me wrong, Peach, I respect plant life as well, but this just doesn't seem to be safe for the kids, said Ashley. The students have always been fine in here. There has never been a single accident in my greenhouse, Peach assured Ashley. Well, all right then, said Ashley. So where can I plant my crops? Right over here. Peach smiled. Time skip. After planting the crops and telling Peach which ones were edible and inedible, Ashley made her way back to the cafeteria to wash the dishes. But when she got there she was shocked to see the cafeteria a complete and utter mess. What the hell? She yelled. She then looked down to see Team RWBY along with another team being scolded by Glinda. Glinda, what the hell just happened? I was gone for 10 minutes? Ashley asked Glinda. Teams RWBY and JNPR thought it would be a wise idea to play with their food. Glinda sneered while looking at the students. Wait, where's Charlie? Everybody then heard muffled screeching. They turned to see the compy stuck in a roasted chicken with his back end sticking out. Charlie! Ashley yelled, grabbing her pet and pulling it out of the chicken. Are you okay, little buddy? The compy shook off pieces of chickens and chirped. Ashley then turned to the kids with a menacing glare that rivaled Glinda's. Who did this to my compy? She yelled in anger. Both teams pointed at the other. Why you? Ms. Dunes, I'll handle this. Glinda put a hand on her shoulder. Ashley took a deep breath and sighed. Yeah, it's probably best if you do. I'm just gonna spend the rest of the day setting up my classroom out back for tomorrow. She said. Time skip. Ashley just got done building her own personal place to use for her class she will be teaching tomorrow when she noticed it was getting dark. Better head up to my room. She thought. Oh right, I almost forgot. She took out the cryopod she stored Olivia in and threw it to the ground, letting the talking Gallimimus out, landing on her back. I utterly despise you. Olivia sneered. Feelings mutual, Olivia. Ashley yawned. You have a good night now. What? I can't sleep out here. Olivia barked. It's freezing cold out here. There's a bed for you in the building I made. But the door's closed. Olivia whined. It's unlocked. Ashley retorted. Gallimimus can't open doors. Olivia yelled. Not my problem. Ashley said, heading inside the academy. I really hate that woman. Olivia groaned. Emerald Forest. 10:30 p.m. The Federation commander arrived at the designated coordinates with 2 commandos in their heavy tech armor bearing tech rifles. Whoever it is hiding, I have received your little note. She said aloud. I see you didn't come alone. Said a feminine voice. Out from behind a tree walked a black-haired woman with yellow eyes and a red dress. It would be unwise to not take precautions. The commander deadpanned. Indeed it wouldn't. The woman said, snapping her fingers as green-haired black girl and a silver-haired boy came out. Emerald, Mercury, you can stand down. The commander looked to her commandos and gave them a gesture to lower the weapons. You better not be wasting my time, otherwise I'll have all 3 of you shot and leave your corpses for the wildlife to eat. The commander sneered. My mistress has seen what you have done to one of her Grimm, and she was very intrigued. The woman explained. Grimm? Is that what you call them? The commander raised a brow. You see, my mistress has been planning to conquer Remnant, the world you happen to currently be on, and after seeing the modifications you made with her Beowulf, she would like to form a partnership of sorts. How much power and influence does she have? Asked the commander. She has control over all the Grimm in Remnant and has inside men and women in every kingdom. The woman smirked. Your offer is interesting, the commander said. However, it's not my jurisdiction to make a decision. What do you mean? His smirk faded. Are you not in charge? I'm in charge of the military aspect, but the Federation as a whole is overseen by Lady Eleanor Rockwell, the granddaughter of our founder Edmund Rockwell. The commander explained. I see. May I speak with her then? She is not here on Remnant, I'm afraid. Said the commander. However, we should have off-world communication set up by tomorrow morning. Come back to our camp with you, mistress. She and Lady Rockwell can come to a decision then. Very well then. The woman said, smiling again. Oh, and when you do show up, make sure you both are wearing these around your necks. The commander said, handing her 2 straps with cards saying guest pass on them. What are these for? The woman said, raising a brow. To let the soldiers and turrets guarding the gates know not to shoot you on sight. The commander deadpanned. I shall see you tomorrow morning, MS. Cinder Falls. Chapter 6, First Lesson. Ashley's classroom, 8 a.m. Ashley looked at her watch. Okay, Charlie, the students should be here right about. The door opened as the students who signed up for Ashley's class. Now. Ashley shrugged, putting the watch in her pocket. Welcome everyone, she said cheerfully. Please take a seat. Everyone took a seat. Ashley noticed that only 3 teams worth of students showed up. I thought there'd be more of you. She scratched the back of her head. Although I shouldn't be surprised. So before we begin, I gotta do roll call. Anybody who isn't here will be automatically kicked from my class. Coco Adele? Here. Said the fashionista. Fox Alistair? Here, said the dark-skinned boy with white eyes. Yata sushi, daishi? It's Yatsuhashi Daichi. The big one corrected. Sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing Asian names. Ashley apologized. What's an Asian? Okay, moving on. Velvet Scarlatina. Here, said the bunny girl from the cafeteria. Huh, so that's her name. Ashley thought. Lilac been taking care of you? She asked Velvet. Yes, she's been very kind to me, and kept Cardan and his team off my back. Good to hear. Ashley smiled. Ruby Rose? Here, she said, raising her hand. Someone seems excited. Ashley chuckled. Yang Xiaolong? It's Xiao, but you can just call me Yang. The blonde brawler smirked. Great, she's one of those girls, thought Ashley. Weiss Schnee. Present, said the heiress. Blake Belladonna? Here. She deadpanned. Lyran? Run. He corrected. Nora Valkyrie? Here, Dino lady, screamed the orange-haired girl. Pira Nikos? Hello, said the red-headed girl. John Arc? John Arc? Well, I guess I'll have to. The door suddenly burst open as a blonde boy staggered inside, catching his breath. I'm here, he huffed. Oh well, never mind then. Ashley shrugged. Just make sure to hustle next time, okay, Mr. Arc? Yes, Professor, he said, heading to his seat. Okay, looks like that's everyone, she said, putting the list down. So during my time here I've noticed that you all happen to rely on a single primary weapon you've grown accustomed to. The students muttered yes and nodded their heads. Well, what will happen in the event you are disarmed and cannot reach said weapon in time to save your skin? The room went silent. Not much you can do, is there? Ashley raised a brow. Well, this class is gonna be about getting you kids a sidearm and how to create handheld explosives to aid you in combat. Ruby's mouth began drooling at the possibilities. Since this is my first day in teaching, we're gonna start off today learning how to make a smoke grenade. Ah, Ruby poured. Don't worry, Ruby, you and your classmates will all have your sidearms by the end of the week. Ashley smiled. Do you have a T-Rex? Asked Nora. Ms. Valkyrie, you gotta raise your hand first if you have something to say or ask. Pira raised her hand. And Nora after her. Yes, Ms. Nikos? Will we be creating the smoke grenades with our teams, or individually? She asked. You will be doing individually. Your teammates won't always be around to help you, so you will need to learn these things for yourself. Ashley explained. However, I will allow you to help others with their project if you wish. Pira smiled and nodded. Nora still had her hand up. Yes, Ms. Valkyrie? Do you have a T-Rex? That has nothing to do with the less. Do you, or do you not, have a T-Rex? Yes, Ms. Valkyrie, I have a T-Rex. His name is Terry. Ashley sighed. Now can we please get back to the lesson now? Nora raised her hand once more. No, I will not show you him. Oh, come on. Nora whined. No means no. Please. No. Please. No. Please. No. Please. No. Please. No. Please. No. PLE. Fine, I'll show you damn T-Rex after class, okay? Ashley snapped. Yes. Nora whispered in victory. Where was I? Groaned Ashley. Right. Ashley began to write the blueprint and ingredients for the smoke grenade down on the chalkboard. All right, the materials you will need will be in the storage crates in front of my desk, Ashley explained. You will have an hour to complete your project, after which we will test them outside. Timer starts now, she said, starting the timer and putting it on her desk. Meanwhile, the Federation sharpshooter guarding the camp entrance on top the gate noticed two figures coming out of the forest. He took aim, but before pulling the trigger he noticed the guest passes around their necks. He lowered his weapon and signaled the gatekeeper to open the gate. The tech gate opened, letting the two inside. Upon seeing them, every soldier in the vicinity immediately aimed their weapons at them. The commander walked up to them and gestured everyone to stand down. You must be Ms. Fall's mistress, she assumed. My name is Salem, Queen of the Grim, the pale woman said. I see. Well, Salem, we have Lady Rockwell on the line. If you would kindly follow me. Cinder and Salem followed the commander into a room with a large screen in it. Lady Rockwell, they are here now, the commander said, standing at attention. The screen turned on to reveal an old woman, but parts of her skin seemed reptile-like. Her chest and face were normal, but her eyes looked exactly like a snake's. Her arms and hands were that like a raptor, with sharp claws for fingers. Her legs were covered in scales. And her teeth were razor-sharp. Lady Eleanor Rockwell, I presume? Asked Salem. You presume correctly. The woman deadpanned. And you are? Salem, Queen of the Grim. Salem said. I believe you have been informed of what I had to offer. Indeed I have, she said before coughing. But if we are to do business, Salem, you must have more to offer than simply your pets. You see, Salem, unlike my idiot grandfather Edmund, I actually take the time to think things through. That is why you must answer me a question. Salem raised a brow. And that would be? Why should I bother wasting resources on this broken planet of yours? The Grimm alone won't make up for the finances that would be spent bringing my army and weapons over here. Eleanor scoffed. What I am asking of you is what remnant would have that is of value to the Federation. Salem smirked. I see, she said, pulling out a vial with a strange red powder in it along with an odd bullet. This is dust, remnant's greatest resource, Salem explained. It's used as an energy source as well as enhancing weapons and ammunition. Eleanor gave Salem a skeptical look. Salem turned to the commander. You there, try it for yourself. Salem smirked, handing the commander the bullet. True commander hesitated for a moment before turning to an operator that was maintaining the devices around the room. Lieutenant, you wouldn't happen to know who was supposed to be guarding the gate last night, would you? I believe it was Sergeant Flores. The operator replied. Call her over here, she said. The operator rang up the sergeant as the commander loaded the bullet into her magnum and lining the chamber up with the barrel. The sergeant walked in. You wanted to see me, Commander Diaz? The commander didn't even bother to speak as she fired the bullet into the sergeant's chest. Oh fuck! Screamed the operator in fear. The bullet left a giant see-through hole where her chest used to be. The sergeant let out a weak gasp before she collapsed to the floor dead. Salem wiped off a bit of blood and guts that managed to land on her cheek before turning to Eleanor. Impressive, Eleanor said, scratching her chin. Very impressive. You can take all the dust you want, you could strip it clean for all I care, said Salem. As long as you help me conquer Remnant. Eleanor started coughing again. She then smiled. I look forward to doing business with you. Beacon Academy 9:00M*. Okay class, does everyone have their smoke grenades ready? Ashley asked, leading them out to the courtyard. They all nodded their heads. So that talking Gallimimus was actually a person who switched brains with it? Asked Nora. Yep, that's what Ashley said, replied Young. That's so awesome, squealed Nora. I can hear you too, you know. Deadpanned Olivia, who was following them. Can I switch brains with Ren? Nora asked the Gallimimus. I don't have the device with me, you simpleton, Olivia said, rolling her eyes. Ah, alright, this looks like a good spot, said Ashley. Can we see the T-Rex now? Asked Nora. Okay, I'll tell you kids what. Ashley put her hands up. I'm gonna have you throw your grenades into that field over there, and time how long the smoke lasts from each one. Whoever made their grenade last the longest gets to ride the T-Rex for a bit. Nora immediately pulled the pin on through her grenade. Okay, then I guess Nora's first, Ashley said, starting her stopwatch. The smoke ended up spreading out a fair amount of distance before eventually dissipating. 1 minute and 10 seconds. Ashley read aloud. Ha, good luck beating that, Nora yelled to the others. Ren then threw his grenade. 1 minute and 15 seconds. Why you do this to me, Ren? Whimpered Nora. Time skip, asterisk. Nice, Ruby, your grenade lasted 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Ashley said with a smile. Okay, Pyrrha, your turn. Pyrrha threw her grenade with precision. Wow, yours lasted 3 minutes, exclaimed Ashley. That's really impressive. Okay, all that's left is John. John nervously walked up and got ready to throw his grenade. John, you need to pull the pin first, said Ashley. Oh right, heh. John chuckled, doing just that. Then he leaned back and threw the grenade with all his might, only for it to land 5 inches in front of him. Oh dear, said Olivia. Ever. Ashley deadpanned. Emerald Forest 9:30M*. My, I must say, Commander Diaz, your technology would vastly outmatch that of Altus, Salem said with a slight smile on her face. The money it took to create all this was very wounding time our finances, Diaz replied. But the end results proved highly beneficial for the Federation as a whole. I see, said Salem. A woman in a safari outfit and hunter hat walked up to them, twirling her kukri before sheathing it. She then spat at the ground. So these the bloody Sheilas the big boss ladies gettin' friendly with? Salem, Cinder, this is Audrey Taylor, Commander Diaz introduced them to the woman. The best poacher/assassin we have at our disposal. Cruel, sociopathic, sadistic, and just plain rude. I'm certain you two will get along just fine with her. Audrey looked over to Salem. Your face looks like the inside of a public toilet, she said. So far I doubt it, Salem said, glaring at the Aussie. Cinder, you will take Ms. Taylor here with you to this kingdom you call Vale, show her how we can smuggle soldiers into there until we can have the rest of the Federation come here. Cinder looked to Salem, who nodded in approval. Very well, Ms. Taylor, follow me. Cinder sighed. I'd then lead the way, Firefly. Audrey smirked. Salem turned to Diaz. Oh, before I leave, Commander, she said. May I see the Beowulf you cyberized? Commander Diaz raised a brow before smiling. She pulled out a radio. Bring out the new tech beast, she said. Salem heard growling as out came the Beowulf guarded by soldiers with electric prods. Its fur was gone and replaced by dark metallic hide, its claws glowed with blue plasma as well as its teeth. Its eyes now blood-red visors. A soldier got a little too close, giving the Beowulf the chance to backhand him, sending him flying out of the camp. It's magnificent. Salem stares at awe at the now enhanced Beowulf cyborg. Tell me, how many can you cyberize at a time? Up to 5 at a time as of now, stated Diaz. We can't do anything bigger than an Ursa yet, unfortunately. The smaller Grim will do for now, Salem said. How long before the rest of the Federation show up? 3 months at the most. I can wait then. Salem smirked. 36 Chapter 7, First Blood. Sue Cindy, smiled Audrey, I hear you're undercover at this Beacon place, is that true? It is. Why do you ask, Ms. Taylor? Cinder asked the Aussie. Well, since you're looking for this fall maiden chick you've told me about, she smirked. Why don't you let me send a team of assassins in that little academy and have them extract her out of there while killing every bloody thing in their way? They'd have no chance of getting in, Cinder replied. Only certified Beacon staff can unlock the entrances and exits, not to mention I still don't know where in Beacon she is exactly. Well, that's what I'm counting on. Cinder gave the Aussie mercenary a look of confusion. I'm fairly certain there's one teacher over there that we can persuade to help us out. I highly doubt it. They are fiercely loyal to Ashbin, and I wouldn't risk threatening one of them to join our side. Cinder deadpanned. So that's how you've been recruiting your followers, eh? Audrey raised a brow. No wonder you have so few of them. What is that supposed to mean? Listen, Sheila, it's much easier to bring someone to our side if you tell them what they want to hear. Audrey smirked. Now I'll ask again, Sheila, is there any professor at Beacon that we can sway to our side? Well, there is one that might consider. Beacon Academy 9:45 *. Okay, looks like Pyrrha wins this little competition, Ashley said aloud. Everyone mildly clapped for Pyrrha except for Nora, who pouted like an immature brat. Well, a deal's a deal. Ashley shrugged, pulling out a cryopod. All right, stand back, kids, Ashley said, tossing the cryopod. What popped out was a giant bipedal reptile with scrawny arms and huge sharp teeth. It had Ashley's signature red, black, and cyan colors. Everybody, meet Terry the Tyrannosaurus Rex. All the kids stared in awe at the massive prehistoric predator. Nora squealed like a giddy kid. The Rex let out a soft roar as it looked to the children and then to Ashley. Pyrrha, come on now, let me show you how to ride this big lizard. The Rex lowered its head, allowing Pyrrha to climb on and get on the saddle on its back. All right, now calmly pick up the reins and steer him forward, Ashley instructed. Be careful. Pyrrha already ended up panicking as she accidentally drove Terry through the pillars surrounding the courtyard. I am sorry, she screamed, trying to make Terry stop. Pyrrha, pull on the reins, Ashley yelled. Pyrrha did as she said, and the Rex came to a halt. Oh boy, Ashley muttered, looking at the wrecked pillars. Glinda's gonna be pissed. I'm fairly certain she'd get over it, said Oobleck, sipping some coffee. What the Oobleck, why aren't you teaching your class? Ashley said to the speedy professor. My class can wait, he said. It's not every day I get to see an actual Tyrannosaurus Rex. I don't. It's a good idea to leave teenagers alone in a classroom, said Ashley. I'm sure it'll be fine. He shrugged. Meanwhile, in Oobleck's classroom, students were causing utter chaos, throwing chairs, paper airplanes, yelling like maniacs. Even one girl stood up, took her shirt off, and swung it around, letting out a Xena war cry. Back outside, Ah, this must be the talking Gallimimus I've been hearing about, Oobleck said, looking over to Olivia Oakwood. Dr. Olivia Octavia Oakwood. She introduced herself. Professor Bartholomew Oobleck, he said, shaking her tail. So you switched your brain with a prehistoric creature, correct? He asked. What is it like living as a Gallimimus? Dreadful, simply dreadful, she whined. I don't know what made me think the Gallimimus was a suitable host for my experiment at the time. I see. So you know whatever happened to your original body? Asked Oobleck. Honestly, I haven't the slightest idea. Meanwhile, Olivia's body with the Gallimimus brain inside was stumbling around, squawking and knocking everything over, with derpy eyes. So why do we keep Dr. Oakwood's body around? Said a Federation guard. Because Lady Rockwell finds its behavior humorous, said another. Back at Beacon, again, But alas, the past is in the past, shrugged Olivia. Well, I believe the past shouldn't be forgotten lest we repeat it, Oobleck pointed out. Quite true, Professor. Olivia remarked. What in Alm's name happened here? Screamed a furious Goodwitch. Glinda stomped toward Ashley and her class. What would possess you to think it would be okay to not only release a gigantic prehistoric predator in the courtyard, but also allow the students to ride it? She yelled. Look, Glinda, the kids just wanted to see a T-Rex, and they've been good, so I thought why not? Ashley explained. So I'll go ahead and take full responsibility for this. Don't you even try TOWEAS. Wait, what? Glinda asked, stunned. I'm taking full responsibility for this. I'll go through with any punishment you have in store. Glinda stood there shocked. Well, I suppose since you're new here I can let it slide this one time, she said, pressing her glasses up. Just be sure not to allow any more incidents in the future, Ms. Dunes. Can do, Ms. Goodwitch, Ashley said with a smile. Glinda turned to Oobleck. And you, get back to teaching your class. Yes, of course, Glinda, Oobleck said before dashing inside. Time skip, asterisk. All right, that seems to be the last of it in place, Glinda said, putting back the pillars. She then noticed Professor Peach walking out with her purse. Peach, Glinda said, grabbing her attention, where are you off to? Oh, nowhere too important. Someone wanted to meet me at the coffee shop over in town. Peach smiled. Oh, do you have a date? Glinda smiled. Who's the lucky man? Oh no, it's not a date, it's a woman from what I heard, says she has a friendly proposal for me. Peach reassured her friend. Oh, I see, Glinda exclaimed mildly. Well, do be careful, Thumbelina. I always am. Oh, before I leave, Peach said. Might I ask what you think of the new teacher, Ashley Dunes? I think she's a rather kind and caring warrior. I still don't know much about her, but she's proven to be mature and responsible. Glinda replied. I see, I think she's all right as well, but I'd rather not have her pets around. Peach said, looking back. We allow students to have pets on campus. I don't see why we can't allow a teacher. I suppose so, it's only fair. Peach sighed. Well, I'll let you go now, your class is starting soon. Of course, you have a wonderful night now, Peach. Glinda waved as Peach walked off. You as well, she replied. Glinda finished putting together the white pillars and begun to walk inside. That Peach woman sure is odd, wouldn't you say, Professor Goodwitch? Said Olivia. There's no need to worry about her, Dr. Oakwood. Glinda assures the talking Gallimimus. Where is Ms. Dunes? She went down to see the city. Said Olivia, she's having me watch over her classroom for the night. I see, hopefully she will enjoy Vale. Said Glinda. Well, we shall see what her opinion is tomorrow. Said Olivia, heading inside the classroom. Olivia saw a scroll on Ashley's desk. Someone left their scroll here, Olivia muttered to herself. Well, I suppose they can always retrieve it in the morning. Beacon Academy. 8:02 p.m. asterisk. A perverted student was sneaking into Team CFVY's room to record a naked Velvet with his scroll, only to be met with a screeching Dilophosaur which immediately shoots black gunk into his face and sends the little perv running. Velvet peeked out of the bathroom with a towel wrapped around her. Thank you, Lilac. She smiled. Meanwhile, Young, Ruby and Weiss were leaving their dorm. You sure you don't want to come with us, Blake? Asked Young. It's a nice night out. I'm fine, girls, I need to catch up on the chapters in my book. Blake smiled, assuring her teammates. All right, well, we'll be back by midnight, said Young. Yeah, girls' night, yelled Ruby. Ruby, you don't be quiet, people are trying to sleep. Weiss scolded her teammate. Blake closed the door and went to use her scroll for a flashlight, only to realize she was holding Ashley's scroll. I must have grabbed her scroll by accident, Blake thought. Well, I'll just use the flashlight on it to read, then I'll return it during class tomorrow. Meanwhile, Team RWBY made their way outside after getting Port's permission, and avoiding another boring story of his, they came across Olivia, who was heading back inside after answering the call of nature. Hi Olivia, what ya doing? Asked Ruby. Ah. Oh dear, Ms. Rose, don't frighten me like that. Olivia sighed. Sorry. Where are you three off to? Olivia asked the huntresses in training. Girls' night, wanna join? Said Young. I'll pass, I'm not the party kind of girl. Olivia scoffed. Suit yourself, lizard lips. Young smirked as she and the other girls headed out. Ugh, teenagers. Olivia groaned. Time skip, asterisk. Olivia was studying a dust crystal she found under a microscope when she heard a twig snap. They're back already? Olivia sighed as she walked to the window to see a handful of men and women in black tactical uniforms and night vision goggles waiting by the academy entrance. Olivia gasped, realizing that they were Federation assassins. A shadowy figure that Olivia couldn't make out suddenly opened the doors to let them in. Olivia ducked down and began to panic. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. She whispered to herself. I got to warn Ashley, but how? That's when Olivia remembered the scroll on Ashley's desk. She quietly made her way to the desk. Okay, Olivia, you're a brilliant scientist, you can surely open a foreign communication device. After struggling to open the scroll with her gallimimus limbs, she managed to open it with her tail and dialed Ashley's number. Blake was getting to the best part of Ninjas of Love when the scroll she was using started buzzing. It was a call from her scroll. She opened it to see a terrified Olivia. Ms. Belladonna? What are you doing with Ashley's scroll? Olivia whispered in panic. I accidentally grabbed it instead of my own. Why, what's going on? Blake asked in confusion. Listen, you must alert Ashbin and Glinda immediately, said Olivia. What? Olivia, what's wrong? There are Federation assassins in the academy. What? Olivia accidentally knocked over a candle which alerted the two assassins guarding the entrance. What was that? It came from the building over there. Hurry now, Olivia whispered. And thinking quickly, Olivia swallowed the scroll. The assassins kicked down the door and saw Olivia. The talking Gallimimus tried to run but got a tranquilizer dart to the neck. Oh dear. She groaned before she collapsed to the ground unconscious. One of the assassins radioed in. Miss Tyler, we caught Dr. Oakwood. Back with Blake, she could hear silenced gunfire coming from the dorm next door before it suddenly went silent. Then she could hear footsteps coming towards her dorm. Thinking fast, she turned off the scroll and hid under the bed. The door quietly opened as she saw two pairs of legs sneak in. She could hear the covers being thrown back from each bed as they got to hers. One of the two turned on the bathroom light and then turned it off. Clear, whispered a voice. Check the next room. Blake saw them close the door behind them. Blake carefully exited out of her hiding spot and went to the dorm next to her to see all four members of the team inhabiting it dead. Blake covered her mouth in shock, then she heard silenced gunfire from the dorm past hers. Anger overtook Blake as she waited by the entrance with Gamble Shroud. The door slowly opened. Blake then shoved her blade into the throat of the assassin and the other assassin unloaded her clip at Blake, but the first assassin's corpse ended up being Blake's meat shield. The assassin then took out a combat knife and pounced on Blake. Blake elbowed the assassin in the face and grabbed Gamble's shroud and stabbed the assassin in the chest. Blake looked around for a way to alert the whole school. She couldn't waste any time since they were going dorm by dorm killing other students. That's when she saw the fire alarm. She dashed towards it only to get tackled by another assassin. Blake managed to knock the gun out of his hands, but then he resorted to choking her. Blake then managed to gouge out his eye with her thumb, giving her the chance to pull the alarm. A loud bell began ringing throughout the entire academy, waking everyone up. Some students woke up just in time to save themselves from getting a bullet to the brain by some of the assassins. Blake smiled, but that quickly faded when she heard a gun cock. She turned around to see the assassin whose eye got gouged out holding a handgun to her head. Bang! Asterisk. The assassin then lowered the firearm before collapsing to the ground dead, revealing a shocked Pyrrha holding Milo in rifle form. The two huntresses exchanged glances before Blake nodded. Then Blake saw out the window two more assassins loading Olivia into an aircraft of some kind. Olivia. The two dashed outside, but it was too late, the aircraft was long gone. Time skip, asterisk. Ashley, Ashbin, Glinda, and all the other teachers were sitting in the headmaster's office listening to Blake's story. And then they managed to capture Olivia. I tried to save her, but... Blake looked down in guilt. I was too late. Don't give up yet, Blake, said Ashley. Olivia doesn't seem like it, but she can be tough when she needs to be. We will get her back. Ms. Belladonna, I must thank you for risking your life to save the rest of the students here tonight, said Ashbin. You may return to your dorm now, we have much to discuss. Blake nodded before taking the elevator down. We have to get Olivia back as soon as possible, Ashbin, said Ashley. They could have her contained anywhere on Remnant for all we know, Ms. Dunes, said Glinda. Well, we have to find her somehow, Ashley retorted. If the Federation manages to find out how to create the implant Olivia gave me, we're all fucked. Don't worry, Ashley, we will find her, Ashbin assured the Dino girl. How did the assassins even make it inside the academy? Asked Port. Only Beacon staff can unlock the entrance. Ashley took a minute think. Maybe that's exactly how they got in, she said. What do you mean? Asked Professor Green. I'm saying that one of the very teachers in this room is a traitor. Chapter 8, The Rescue. Streets of Vale 9:00 AM asterisk. After the bloodshed last night, school was cancelled for the day to allow the dead students to be buried and given proper funerals. Team RWBY and JNPR took the time to walk around Vale and check the shops to get the events of last night off their minds. Atrocious, growled Pyrrha. To think the Federation would commit such an act. I know why Ashley hates them so much now, said Young. Heartless bastards, if only I stayed I could have died. Blake cut off the blonde. If it wasn't for Olivia we would all be dead. The fawness in hiding hunt her head in guilt. Don't worry Blake, said Nora trying to cheer Blake up. The second we find out where they have taken her we'll be the first ones there to rescue her and break some legs. Yeah, Olivia's our friend, said Ruby. And we don't leave friends behind. Blake, why do you have Ashley's scroll? Asked Weiss. Oh, I accidentally grabbed it yesterday instead of my own. That's how Olivia managed to warn me just in time before she swallowed my scroll. Blake then realized why Olivia did just that. She swallowed my scroll while it was still on, said Blake. She was giving us a way to track her. Ruby's eyes widened and immediately turned on the tracker on her scroll to show a little blip going off in the deepest part of Emerald Forest. Let's go rescue a talking Gallimimus, she yelled. Newly built Federation outpost. 9:20 a.m. Unhand me you barbaric grunts, yelled a restrained and muzzled Olivia. The assassins threw down the talking Gallimimus as a screen came on to reveal an all-too-familiar face. Eleanor darling, Olivia said in a fearful chuckle. You look Bo dash, you just as hell dash, you look GRE dash. Long time no see. Indeed it has been quite some time, traitor. Eleanor sneered. Oh, don't think I don't know you are the reason why Dr. Ashley Dunes has become a pesky roach that just can't be squashed no matter how large the boot. Well, Eleanor my dear, that was a long time ago before Ashley deserted you, Olivia replied. Besides, I don't have the material to make any more, so you don't have to worry about another like Ashley running around. Eleanor raised a brow. Perhaps, but nonetheless, I still have use of your intelligent mind, Dr. Oakwood, she said. Prepare Olivia for cyberization, and keep the brain intact. Wait, can't we talk about this? Olivia panicked. I'll do whatever you want, there's no need for turning me into a machine. No mercy for traitors, said one of the guards that began dragging her away. They have a silver-eyed girl, Olivia shouted. Wait, Eleanor shouted. What did you say? There's a silver-eyed warrior just like the ones from the writings of the ancient beast masters, Olivia blabbered. Can tell you where she is, just don't cyberize me. Eleanor remained silent for a moment before she bursted out laughing. Those breed of humans have been gone for generations, both they and beast masters slaughtered each other to extinction. Eleanor said with a scowl. What kind of an idiot do you take me for? Take her away, she yelled in anger. No, I am telling the truth, please Nuwu. Meanwhile, the tracker says she's in that outpost, said Ruby. So let's go everyone. Pyrrha grabbed Ruby by the cape and flung back into the bush. We can't just run right and we'll get killed that way, she said. What do you mean there's no guards, just that thing over there? Ruby pointed to a metal object next to the door. A Borbatusk wandered out of the bush looking for something to eat when the object immediately opened up into a turret and blasted the pig-like Grim that ended up vaporizing it instantly, leaving nothing behind but a smoking black spot. Damn, said Yang. So, how we gonna get past that? Asked Nora. I'm not gonna go out there while that turret's still on, I don't want to get disintegrated, said John. Maybe my semblance can work on it, Pyrrha suggested. Pyrrha tried to use her semblance on the turret, but it wouldn't even budge. It's no use, my semblance doesn't recognize the type of metal. Pyrrha sighed. Pyrrha, said Nora. Why don't we try to draw its fire? Said Pyrrha. Pyrrha, it's too risky, it could get someone killed, said Blake. Pyrrha, what is it, Nora? That Fed coming out of the entrance looks exactly like you, Nora said, pointing ahead. Sure enough, there was a Fed soldier that was identical to Pyrrha coming out. Make sure the turret doesn't malfunction while I'm out on my smoke break, all right, Gerald? The soldier said. Yes, ma'am, groaned the engineer. I think we found our way inside, said Ren. The soldier leaned next to a tree and pulled out a cigarette and was about to light it when she got tapped on the shoulder. Sup, said Yang. The engineer heard a commotion outside and opened the door to investigate. Lieutenant? He called out. The lieutenant poked her head out. Damn it, Gerald, the damn turret's targeting me, she yelled. The turret opened up and was about to fire before Gerald shut it off. Sorry about that, Lou. Wait, malfunctioning turrets don't targ. Gerald immediately got hit in the head with a kuo, knocking him out. The now disguised Pyrrha came out with her friends. She looked at the keycard she got from the actual lieutenant. First Lieutenant Vivian Mars. She read out loud. That's a fairly high rank, said Ren. I'm sure those will give you access to most places in the outpost. Well, one way to find out. Ready to be a spy, Pyrrha? Said Ruby in excitement. What about you guys? She asked. Looks like good old Gerald here is carrying 2 keycards. Yang smirked, handing one to John, who clumsily caught it. All right, let's split up, we'll stay out of sight while Pyrrha keeps in contact with us, said John. John, please be careful, she said. Don't worry Pyrrha, we got this. He gave her a thumbs up. Pyrrha took a deep breath before using the keycard to open up the entrance while teams RWBY and JNR snuck in behind. Lieutenant, a soldier saluted. Trooper. Pyrrha nodded. She slowly walked by two other Federation troopers talking. You know those personal maids that serve Lady Rockwell? I heard they get paid 20 grand an hour, said one trooper. Seriously? Exclaimed the other. Why do they get paid a fortune? From what I heard, Lady Rockwell is extremely short-tempered and she constantly kills her maids out of rage. Wow, really? No wonder they're always so quiet and mousy. Pyrrha went inside the main building. She managed to stay in character and acknowledge any Fed who looked her way as to not blow her cover. She looked at the signs to see surveillance room on the right. She looked around for any Federation personnel before taking out her scroll. Guys, they have a surveillance room in here down the right hall. She whispered into the scroll. I'll watch the cameras if you can get me in there. Weiss replied. I'll meet you over there. Be careful, Pyrrha said to the heiress. Pyrrha casually walked down to the surveillance room, being careful not to attract any attention to herself. She opened the door, which immediately got the attention of the security guard watching the cameras. Hey, what are doing, Lieutenant? You're not allowed in here, he said. Oh, sorry, I just got assigned to this outpost yesterday. Pyrrha lied. What does that have to do with? Pyrrha knocked him out with her shield. I gotta think of better excuses. She sighed. All clear. Weiss snuck into the room and got into the chair and gave Pyrrha a thumbs up before locking the door behind the spear maiden. Meanwhile, the rest of JNR were sneaking into the containment area to see if Olivia was being held there. Hey, you bloody pathetic excuse of a guard, shouted an odd accented female voice. Come over here so I can stick my thumbs in your eyes. Shut your mouth, you damn Scot, shouted the guard. Why don't ye come make Mal stick that baton up your arse? She snapped back. Nora snuck up to the guard as he pulled out an electroprod. Why don't I stick this up? Nora knocked him out with one swing. She looked up to see in the cell a white woman with hazel pupils and gray hair tied into dreadlocks. I good one, lass. She smirked. Name Somaya. She held out her hand. Nora. She replied, shaking her hand. That's John and that's Ren. Nice to meet ya, said Somaya. This here's Wolf. Somaya gestured to a scruffy man sitting on the bed who just nodded. And there's Crazy Katie. She pointed over to a woman with short brown hair and blue eyes. You want to buy this rock? No thanks, said Ren. Over with Ruby, Blake, and Young. They ended up sneaking into a garage filled with TEK motorcycles and TEK ATVs. Wow, these sure are some cool bikes, whistled Young. Course they aren't nearly as badass as my baby Bumblebee. Suddenly a wrench fell off a nearby table. Everyone quickly turned to see a mechanic coming out from under an ATV she was working on, for her eyes to go wide upon seeing the intruders. Not good, Blake said, getting into a defensive stance. Come on girls, we can take one, lil grunt. Yang smirked. The mechanic gave a menacing glare before she rolled out from under the vehicle before she stood up. Yang's cocky smirk soon vanished from her face as she and her teammates looked up at the gigantic 8-foot-tall muscular woman approaching them, cracking her knuckles. That's what you consider little? Whimpered Blake. Meanwhile, Pyrrha was walked into the research area and noticed vital information about tech dinos and the Federation's technology that could be useful to know. She quickly took photos of everything before moving into the labs. Pyrrha, you're not gonna like what they're doing in there, Weiss said all of a sudden. Pyrrha stood silent for a moment before opening the door. Pyrrha stood in shock upon seeing a wild raptor that was screaming in pain, being held down by restraints as machines were removing the flesh from its bones and replacing it with burning hot metal. A life support system was keeping alive and awake every second of the torturous procedure. Pyrrha could feel its pain and suffering just from watching. She felt a tear roll down her cheek. Is there something wrong, Lieutenant? Asked an officer overseeing scientists commencing the cyber process. Pyrrha then felt an overwhelming rage take over her as she locked the door behind her. Meanwhile, Olivia whimpered as the scientist strapped her into the restraints. Please don't do this, I beg of you, she pleaded. The guard simply pushed her head down to the operating table and put on the final restraint. The scientists and guard moved into the room behind the glass. Beginning cyberization, said a female robotic voice. Olivia looked in fear as mechanical arms holding scalpels, saws, drills, and all sorts of tools slowly closed in on her. She tried with all her might to get out of the restraints, desperately fighting for her life, but to no avail. She screamed as the arms closed in. Cyberization cancelled. Olivia slowly opened her eyes to see the machines retracting. As the door opened to reveal Pyrrha. Oh, thank the maker. Olivia sighed with relief. What took you so low? Olivia immediately went silent upon seeing that Pyrrha was drenched in blood. Pyrrha didn't speak a word as she undid the restraints. Pyrrha dear. I don't want to talk about it. Pyrrha barked. Yes, very well then. Olivia gulped. Olivia followed Pyrrha out the room. She nearly threw up at the sight of the slaughtered feds. Not even Ashley was this brutal. Meanwhile the giant mechanic was tossing the huntresses in training around like rag dolls. RWBY managed to get behind her and pin her by the neck with crescent rows. I got her guys, I got her. RWBY yelled. The brute then grabbed RWBY's cape. I don't gother. RWBY screamed as the brute threw her into the side of a motorbike, knocking the wind out of her. RWBY! Shouted Yang as her semblance kicked in and launched herself at the brute and punched her in the face so hard it sent the brute flying into the ATV she was working on, leaving a big dent in it. Before the brute could get up, Blake finished her off with a butterfly kick. Huff, huff, let's get out of here before anyone else shows up, said Blake, catching her breath. RWBY stood up, rubbing her head. No need to tell me twice. Back over at the containment area, Nora, Ren and John were letting out Somaya, Crazy Katie and Wolf. Few never thought I would get out odor, said Somaya, stretching. Thanks lass. You're welcome. Nora smiled. All right, let's get out of here, Beefo. A door opened as a young guard came out with a tray with 4 coffees. Hey Somaya, thought I'd bring you and your friend some coffee before my shift, star, Ted. The guard looked at the now free prisoners along with the huntsman for an awkward amount of time before slowly looking over at the alarm button, then back at them. Richard, don't you do it, boy. Somaya said, pointing at him. Richard immediately dropped the coffee and dashed for the alarm button. John managed to grab an electroprod and threw it at him, electrocuting him into an unconscious state, but his body unfortunately landed on the button. Alarm trigger, red alarm triggered. Oh, that can't be good, winced John. Chapter 9, The Warden. Alarm triggered, alarm triggered. Oh dear, they've set off the alarm, whimpered Olivia. They'll be coming any moment. Let them come, growled Pyrrha. I understand your anger, Ms. Nikos, but wouldn't it be wiser to regroup with your friends? Said Olivia. Right, Pyrrha said. Back at the surveillance room, asterisk. Weiss quickly pulled herself together after seeing Pyrrha's brutal rampage to see security guards heading toward the containment area. John, there's securities around the corner, you guys need to get out of there. Access granted. Weiss quickly turned to see the door open to a security officer accompanied by other guards. Freeze, intrude. Weiss immediately froze him in ice, which caught the others off guard long enough for Weiss to shut the door and locked it with a glyph. Get the torch cutter, one of them shouted. Weiss quickly looked around the room for an escape before noticing a vent on the ceiling. Back with Team JNR, John grabbed the used electroprod and used it to bar the door just in time as the security team began banging on it. Lads and lassies, over here, shouted Somaya, pointing to the fire escape. Everybody quickly went down the fire escape that led them outside the building. There they are, shouted a security guard armed with an electro baton. Stand back, lassies, I got this. Somaya quickly rushed in and dodged the guard's swing and then punched him in the chest, knocking the wind out of him. Then ducked as a female guard swung her baton down and electrocuted her coworker. Then grabbed her arm as she swung again and threw her over her shoulder and grabbed the first guard's baton and whacked the other across the head with it. Another guard arrived with an officer with a handgun. The guard charged Somaya, who parried the baton swing and put the guard in a headlock and turned him around to have him catch a bullet to the chest from the officer. She then tossed down the guard and threw the baton at the officer's head. That was awesome, said Nora in awe. Thanks, lass, said Somaya. Suddenly a security guard flew out the door and landed on her back unconscious, revealing Team RWBY behind the door. Hey, you guys made it, RWBY said in joy. Wait, where's Weiss and Pyrrha? Asked John. He got his answer of the heiress herself falling out of the vent. UGH, how disgusting, she said, wiping off the dust and mold from crawling out of the ventilation system. But where's Pyrrha? John asked once more. Right here, she said calmly, walking out with Olivia. Everybody looked in shock at how Pyrrha was covered in blood. Pyrrha, what happened in there? I lost control of myself in there. Pyrrha, what did you do? Not now, John, she snapped. We need to focus on getting out of here. Right, of course, he said. Suddenly multiple security guards and soldiers surrounded them and had their weapons pointed at them. Yeah, probably should have worked on the escape plan sooner, gulped Nora. A couple of the soldiers restrained Somaya and her 2 friends. Drop your weapons, intruders, shouted the commander. Why don't you come and take them, scumbag? Growled Pyrrha. Pyrrha dear, don't encourage them, whimpered Olivia. The commander raised her hand ready to signal her men to open fire when suddenly they heard a whistle blow. The guards and soldiers in front of the entrance moved to the side to reveal a woman holding a whistle wearing a uniform that was more unique than that of a regular guard. "Oh crap, it's the warden," whispered a fearful guard. "What's she doing here?" whispered a soldier. "Colonel Juniper," said the commander. "I believe I have the situation under control, there's no need to." The warden put her finger up, silencing the commander mid-speech as she walked past. She stopped in front of the huntsmen in training, analyzing each of them with an intimidating gaze. She stared at RWBY the longest. "Stand down everyone, I'll handle this." "What, Colonel, I happen to outrank you and I don't have to." The warden glared at the commander, which immediately shut her up. All the guards and soldiers backed up, giving the kids and the warden room to fight. "That's not a good sign," Run whispered. "Come on, Run, there's 8 of us and only one of her, we got this," said Young. The warden calmly pulled out a metallic handle and clicked a button on it as a long stream of light blue plasma energy shot out to reveal it was some kind of laser TEK whip. RWBY stared with hungry eyes at the marvelous sight before pulling herself together and focusing on the fight. The warden then began to twirl her TEK whip in a menacing way before she spun around and brought the stream of plasma down on RWBY. On instinct, RWBY held up her scythe to block the attack, only for the tech whip to effortlessly slice through it like butter. Crescent Rose NOO. RWBY screamed in horror for her precious baby. "You monster!" The warden didn't even respond as she continued her assault, lashing her whip out at the huntsmen in training. Any shots they fired were immediately disintegrated by the TEK whip. The guards and soldiers cheered on the warden as she was handing the kids their own asses. "I thought you huntsmen were supposed to be great warriors, I was expecting a challenge," she mocked them. "We can't get to her like this lest we be cut in half," said Pyrrha. She could try to throw a Kus or Milos, but she didn't want to leave herself defenseless if they got sliced through like RWBY's scythe. Blake left a clone to distract the warden, but unfortunately she caught on quickly and nearly took Blake's head off. The faunus in hiding rolled out of certain death at the last second. Unfortunately, Gamble Shroud wasn't as lucky. The warden spun around, slashed off a strand of Yang's hair, setting off her semblance as she started to go berserk and launch herself at the warden. This proved to be a grave mistake as the warden dodged the blonde and gave her a deep slash across her back. Yang screamed in agony from the unbearable pain of a burning stream of plasma searing through her skin before collapsing to the ground unconscious. "Yang NOO!" screamed RWBY as she rushed to her sister. Weiss strafed toward the warden, attempting to seize an opening. But the warden saw her and brought the whip down on the heiress, who skidded to a halt and summoned a glyph to protect herself. The whip bounced off the glyph but shattered it in the process, knocking Weiss down. The warden was about to finish Weiss when suddenly a small familiar object landed in between them. Not even a second later, the smoke grenade went off, covering the entire outpost in smoke. RWBY looked around blindly before someone helped her pick Yang up over their shoulders. "Get out now, the smoke won't last long," shouted an all-too-familiar voice. The warden became enraged upon hearing Ashley Dune's voice and begun blindly swinging her whip around the place violently. "Show yourself, traitor!" she screamed, accidentally killing a couple soldiers with her violent swinging. So Maya took the opportunity to knock out the soldier restraining her with a head, but before helping Wolf and Katie. After the smoke dissipated, the warden growled in frustration upon realizing the intruders escaped with the prisoners and Olivia. I think they got away," said a guard. The warden then decapitated the guard with her whip. "Inform Lady Rockwell of this catastrophe, Commander," she said, turning off her whip. Emerald Forest. 12:32 p.m. *. "Well, if it ain't good old Dino girl." So Maya cheered, punching her old friend in the arm. "Where have you been, lass?" "Nice to see you too, so Maya," Ashley said, rubbing her arm. "Looks like you, Wolf, and Katie, got transported here too." Wolf simply nodded in agreement. "You wanna buy this rock?" Katie said, holding out her rock. "For millionth time, Katie, I don't want to buy that rock." Ashley groaned, rubbing her eyes. Ashley turned to Olivia. "You doing okay, Olivia?" "A little traumatized, but I'm quite alright physically speaking," the talking Gallimimus retorted. "Yep, you're definitely alright," Ashley said, rolling her eyes. "Alright, everybody on?" asked the pilot. Ashley looked to make sure before giving the pilot a thumbs up. RWBY looked at her unconscious sister with concern. "Don't worry, she'll be fine," Ashley reassured her. "Which reminds me." She stood up and looked at the kids in anger. "What the hell were you thinking?" she snapped. The huntsman in training shrunk before Ashley. "You can't just go and infiltrate a Federation base without saying a word, you all could have been killed." "But we found out where they had Olivia," said John. "Then you let me or Ashbin know." Yang nearly had her spine sliced in half. She yelled before taking a breath and sighing. "No class tomorrow and no Dino riding." What, but that's not FAI. Am I understood? Yes, ma'am. Ruby said in defeat. Somewhere in space 1:00 p.m. *. A gigantic spacecraft carrying millions of troops, weapons, and vehicles is on course for Remnant, about a couple months away. Lady Rockwell, with all due respect, said one of the board members present at Eleanor's table. This resource called dust may not be worth the time and resources to acquire. Whatever do you mean? Coughed Eleanor. A maid brought her a fine glass of brandy. We believe invading Remnant is not worth our time, which could be better spent elsewhere. He replied. I mean no disrespect, Ms. Rockwell, but taking a risk such as this puts too much at stake. I believe it's best if we simply turn back. I see. Does Mr. Hedge speak for everyone? Eleanor asked calmly, taking the glass of brandy. He speaks for me. Yes. Precisely. Indeed. Well, just to be sure, raise your hand if Mr. Hedge speaks for you. Eleanor gestured. All but 3 raised their hands. Well then. Eleanor said before taking a sip of her brandy and snapped her fingers. Not even a second later, Eleanor's bodyguards immediately killed everyone who raised their hands. Eleanor calmly put her drink down. My grandfather Edmund may have been a pretentious imbecile, but there was one thing he told me that I completely agree with. Progress demands sacrifice. She said aloud. None of you ever forget that if you value your lives. She barked before coughing again. Now, are there any more objections? No. I am good. Jesus Christ, no. Good, she sneered. You're dismissed. The remaining 3 board members ran out of the room without hesitation. Eleanor then heard a transmission on the monitor behind her. Jane, be a dear and send a cleanup crew up here to take care of this mess. Eleanor ordered her maid. Yes, Lady Rockwell. She whimpered and walked out the room. She let the transmission come through and spun around, to see the terrified outpost commander and the warden on screen. What is it, Commander? She asked, a little annoyed. Lady R. Rockwell, it is W. with my deepest regret to inform you that Dr. Olivia Oakwood has been rescued by some of the natives. She said, shaking in fear. You know what the punishment for failure is, Commander? The commander gulped and simply nodded her head. So what's it going to be? She raised a brow. The commander whimpered as she pulled out her pistol, put it to her head and pulled the trigger. Wise decision. Eleanor scoffed. The warden then stepped forward. Lady Rockwell, if I may? She asked. Eleanor gave her a gesture to go right ahead. Apparently Dr. Oakwood was telling the truth, for I have seen the silver-eyed girl she spoke of myself. Eleanor stood silent for a moment. Are you sure what you witnessed was accurate? She raised a brow. As bright as day, my lady. Interesting. Inform Commander Diaz of this revelation, Colonel. Have her give our orders to capture this silver-eyed girl upon sight. Yes, Lady Rockwell. The warden bowed. You are dismissed, Anna, said Eleanor. The screen monitor then turned off as Eleanor begun to think what else this world has in store. 36 Chapter 10, On the Run. Beacon Academy 1:45 p.m. *. Ashley looked toward Pyrrha to see her a bit traumatized from whatever happened in there. She had a pretty good idea what though. As the bulldog landed back down to the school, the kids went back inside along with Olivia, Somaya, and the others. Pyrrha, can I speak with you for a moment? She asked the spear maiden. Yes, she responded. You saw how they did it, didn't you? She said, resting her hand on Pyrrha's shoulder. Pyrrha looked down and remained silent. Pyrrha, what happened in there? I just don't know what came over me. I saw that poor creature being torn apart and being kept alive during the whole thing. I could feel its pain, its suffering. And they didn't care. They kept torturing it, tearing flesh away and screwing in metal. I just felt an overwhelming rage come over me, and next thing I knew I was covered in blood and surrounded by bodies. I killed them all. Pyrrha hung her head, still traumatized from what she had done. It's all right, Pyrrha, Ashley said, soothing her. We all have moments where we are blinded by rage. Ashley thought about what she said. She could feel its pain and suffering. Could it be that Pyrrha? Pyrrha, could you turn around? Ashley asked suddenly. Pyrrha gave her a confused look before she obliged. Ashley then moved aside Pyrrha's ponytail and her eye widened at what she saw. Pyrrha had the mark of the Beastmaster on the back of her neck. Pyrrha, how long have you had this? She exclaimed. Since I was born. Why do you ask? It's just a birthmark, said Pyrrha. It's not a birthmark, Ashley said before revealing her mark to Pyrrha. This is the mark of the Beastmaster, she explained. Wait, are you saying? Pyrrha, you're a Beastmaster. Before Ashley could say anything else, she got a text from Glinda stating that it was urgent for her to come see Ashbin. Pyrrha, I gotta go. Ashbin needs to see me. Come see me at my class after school. We'll talk about it then. A few minutes earlier, Glinda walked into Ashbin's office with a worried look on her face. Professor Goodwitch, what's wrong? The headmaster asked, concerned. Ms. Nikos took photographic evidence of intel she found over at the Federation outpost, she said, pulling out her scroll. And what she sent me is not good. Ashbin looked at the intel with a pale face. Get Ms. Dunes in here at once. Time skip, asterisk. Ashley walked out of the elevator into Ashbin's office. What's going on? She asked. Ms. Dunes, you need to see what Ms. Nikos uncovered from the Federation. Ashbin said, concerned. She looked over at the screen to see documents containing data and photos of a cyberized Beowulfs, Ursas, Beringels, King Tygitus, and many other kinds of Grimm. Dear God, they found a way to cyberize Grimm. She said in horror. This is not good. The cybernetic enhancements of the Grimm could make a horde of them nearly unstoppable. Exclaimed Ashbin. It's pretty clear now the Federation are dead set on invading Remnant. Said Glinda. Ashbin, you need to round up any military forces you have on Remnant. When the rest of the Federation gets here, Vale is going to be the first place they strike. Said Ashley. Ashbin hung his head and sighed. James is never going to let me hear the end of this. He groaned. Who's James? Asked Ashley. General of the Atlesian military and headmaster of Atlas Academy. Glinda explained. You got a general, huh? Good, that's a start at the least. Ashley nodded. But right now we should focus on our nearest problem first. Have either of you managed to figure out who the traitor is? She asked. Unfortunately, no. Said Ashbin. However, there's evidence pointing to Oobleck and Mulberry. Glinda added. Well, at least we got our list of suspects. Sighed Ashley. I think we should start questioning each of th. Ashbin's scroll suddenly began ringing. When he answered it, a female student with a frightened, tear-filled face. Ms. Burgundy? What's wrong? It's Professor Mulberry. He sobbed. He's dead. Ashbin, Glinda, and Ashley looked at each other in shock before dashing towards Professor Mulberry's classroom. Small time skip, asterisk. When they got to the classroom entrance, they saw Ms. Burgundy huddled against the wall sobbing. Where's Professor Mulberry? Ashbin asked. She didn't even bother to look up, she simply pointed at the classroom. Ashley tried to open the door, but it was locked. She then braced herself to kick down the door, only to end up hurting her foot. Fuck. How do they do that in movies? She muttered. Glinda stepped in. May I? She asked. Yeah. Ashley nodded, nurturing her aching foot. Glinda then proceeded to use her semblance to rip the door off the hinges, allowing them in. The three adults then looked in horror at what they saw. Holy shit. Whispered Ashley. Harold Mulberry was laying on his desk, dead as a doornail, with Ashley's machete lodges through the back of his head. That's my machete. Ashley pointed out. I left it in my classroom when I went to go save the kids. I was in such a hurry to save Ruby and her friends that I must have forgot to lock. Oh God. Ashley places her hands on the desk and hung her head, feeling guilty. Ashbin places his hand on her shoulder. It was not your fault, Ms. Dunes. Do not be too hard on yourself. He said. Ashley looked away and silently nodded. Glinda then noticed a tuft of fur in Harold's dead hand. It was fox faunus fur, and it was the same shade and color as a certain faunus professor that happened to teach stealth here at Beacon. I believe we have found our traitor. She said, picking up the fur. Unfortunately, she's currently in Vale. Notify the local law enforcement. Ashbin ordered. Vale Streets 2:00 p.m. asterisk. I thank you for your time. And smiled, waving to the old shopkeep before walking out of the store from dusk till dawn. She looked at the new type of dust she got to use in her next class. Well, this will certainly be useful. She thought. Suddenly a police car pulled up and two police officers got out and pulled out their guns and pointed them at Anne. And Green, put your hands behind your head. One yelled. Wha, I beg your pardon? She asked, confused, taking a step back. You're under arrest for the murder of Harold Mulberry. Shouted the other. What? She yelled in shock. Harold's dead. She couldn't believe that her fellow professor was dead. She worked with him for over 20 years. Final warning, hands behind your head now. And looked at the dust that she got for her class and back at the police. She suddenly threw a crystal of dust on the ground and it erupted into thick fog. The police immediately fired in response. When it cleared and was nowhere to be found. Crap. Muttered one of the cops as he got on the comm. Suspect has escaped and is on the run. I repeat, suspect has escaped and is on the run. Meanwhile, the invisibility effect had begun to wear off on and as she snuck down an alleyway. She didn't know what led them to believe she was responsible for the murder, but she couldn't just come quietly. She had to find a way to clear her name. Using her semblance, she blended in with the shadows as police looked down the alleyway. Damn it, we lost her, said one of the officers. Spread out and find her, said the police lieutenant. She couldn't have gotten far. Back at Beacon. The police said she escaped and are currently searching for her, said Glinda. Ashbin sighed. And is an expert in stealth, they won't be able to find her, he stated. They might not be able to, but maybe my Trudents can. Ashley interjected. You have Trudents? Asked Glinda. Well, only 2 to be exact, said Ashley. Trudents are smarter than most creatures, which make them very difficult to tame. I had to earn their trust before they allowed me to claim them. But they make amazing scouts. She smiled. Ashley then pulled out 2 cryopods and activated them to release 2 small feathery creatures with glowing eyes. Susie, Diana, I need your help tracking down Professor Green, she told them while beckoning Glinda to show them the tuft. The Trudent sniffed the tuft of fur before letting out a couple sounds. Ashley then pulled out her tranq rifle. Good, they got her scent. Ashbin, call in a bulldog for me. Of course, Ms. Dunes, he nodded. Please subdue her, not kill her. That's why I'm bringing this, she said as she strapped her tranq rifle over her shoulder. She opened the door to reveal Professor Peach. Charlie immediately begun to hiss and snarl. Easy, Charlie, we need to focus on finding Anne, she said, soothing her compy. Sorry about that, Peach. It's quite all right, she said, moving out of the way as the Trudents followed their owner. Headmaster Ashbin, I overheard what happened, she said, looking a bit sad and shocked to hear that Anne could be capable of such a thing. Yes, it's rather a surprise to us all to see that Anne was the one behind all this, Ashbin said with disappointment. Anne has been here longer than most of the staff, but I suppose even veterans can be manipulated. Ashbin, is Ms. Dunes going to kill Anne? Peach suddenly asked. No, she is intending to subdue with tranquilizer darts, said Ashbin, and must face consequences of her actions, included Glinda. I see, well, it makes sense that she should stand trial in court, said Peach. May have mercy on Anne, she added before she turned around and left. May have mercy on us all, muttered Ashbin. Chapter 11, Another Beastmaster. Ashley couldn't believe her eyes. It was the Beast Queen herself, the first Beastmaster that ever lived, Grand Beastmaster May Ainley. She read her notes and read the legends and stories of her in the various tombs of ancient Beastmasters she's explored, and here she was standing in front of her. Ashley grabbed a stick and shakily poked May in the boob. What are you doing? May deadpanned. Holy crap, you're not actually a vengeful ghost trying to kill me in a blind rage, Ashley said in shock. No, Ms. Dunes, I'm not a vengeful spirit unlike our ancient brethren. I'm perfectly alive and healthy, as you can see. May sighed. Oh my god, I have so much to ask you. Ashley flustered. How are you still alive and still look to be in your early 30s? How old are you exactly? Were you really the first? Did you really train all the Beastmasters? Did you know Edmund before he became a mutant psychopath? Ms. Dunes, May said calmly. How many Beastmasters were there? Are there any still alive besides us? Was it true we were the guardians to the people of the Ark system? How many creatures did each Beastmaster have? Ms. Dunes. How long has our order been around? How did you train Beastmasters? Are you actually a lesbian? Ms. Dunes, May snapped. Ashley stopped in her tracks. Please stop talking, said May. And also that last question isn't true. That part about my time with Diana got lost in translation, she muttered. Alright, sorry, Ashley said sheepishly. The rest of the students came rushing in. Professor Dunes, did you find Pyr? John started but stopped upon seeing, who is that? He asked, staying on guard. Kids, this here is a living legend. She's the Grand Beastmaster May Ainley, Ashley said excitedly. She's the first Beastmaster. I thought you were the only one left, said Weiss. I thought so too, but yet here stands an ancient legend, and she still looks 32, Ashley exclaimed. But seriously, how old are you? Ms. Dunes, please stop asking me about my age. May deadpanned. Right, sorry. Since you all know of my existence, I suppose I have no choice but tag along with you, May sighed. Beacon was the name of your academy, correct? Yep, and I'm Ruby Rose. I'm really happy to meet another Beastmaster. Can I see your dinos sometime? Ruby said happily. Rose? May whispered. She glared at her silver eyes. Silver eyes? She growled to herself. Ruby slowly reeled back from the scary glare May was giving her. Are you okay? Ashley asked May. Oh yes, I'm fine, May assured her. We should probably get you children back to Beacon. Right, you got any flying mounts with you? Ashley asked. The bullheads we came here on were shot down, and the pilots were killed, and I doubt Amber can carry everyone. May turned around and whistled. After a moment of silence, a giant Nevermore that had gray faceplate, a yellow body, and shining white eyes flew down to their area. The students stated in awe of how May managed to calm and tame such a big Grim under the radar. If recall correctly, the biggest flying mount you managed to tame was a quetzal, correct? May said, giving a small smile. Well, it's not a competition, you know. Ashley mumbled, crossing her arms. This caused a couple of the students to snicker. Well, this Nevermore should hold about 9 of you. Ms. Dunes Amber can carry you and 3 others, correct? Yeah, Ashley said with a nod. Good, then lead the way back for me and Ingzi. May said. Time skip, asterisk. Ruby was behind Ashley on Amber, who happened to be carrying both Nora and John. Ashley was lost in thought, however. Why was May giving Ruby such a dirty look, asterisk, she thought. Could there be a connection between Ruby and Autumn? Autumn, why am I thinking about that mad woman? I killed her back in Aberration 2 years ago. Now that I think about it, they both had silver eyes, and Autumn's last name was Rose, asterisk. Professor Dunes? Ruby suddenly asked. What is it, Ruby? Ashley responded, snapping out of deep thought. Do you think Ms. Lee hates me? She asked. What makes you say that, Ruby? Ashley said, looking back over to her. When I introduced myself to her, she gave me a terrifying glare. Asked Ruby. She's probably just a little on edge after that fight with the feds. Ashley tried to assure her. I'm sure it'll pass eventually. Ruby just nodded and kept quiet. When I get a chance with May alone, I'm gonna ask what the hell is going on, asterisk, Ashley thought as she looked forward to see Beacon coming into view. I think I'm gonna be sick, groaned John from Amber's grip. Don't even think about it, John, I will drop you right here, yelled Ashley. John just covered his mouth to prevent himself vomiting. Glinda and Ashbin were running up, weapons ready upon seeing the Nevermore, but became at ease upon seeing it was Ashley on the Griffin. Ms. Dunes, are the children okay? Glinda asked with concern. Yeah, they're all fine. We happened to get ambushed by the feds. Ashbin looked upon the Nevermore. Why is this one color different than your other animals? He asked. Because it's not mine, she stated. What? Glinda shouted. It's hers, Ashley said, pointing at May Ainley, who was jumping down from the Nevermore. Glinda, Ashbin, meet them, first Beastmaster that ever lived, Grandmaster May Ainley, Ashley said excitedly. But I thought you said you were the last one, said Glinda. Apparently not, she's been hiding for Lord knows how long. 5 feet 230 inches years, May stated calmly. Wait, are you actually claiming to be over 5,000 years old? Said Weiss, finding my statement to be unreal. I'm 7,852 years old to be exact. May deadpanned. That's not possible, you're saying you're immortal? Weiss bagged, beginning to think this woman was insane. Not exactly, child, my inability to age is due to eternal life, May stated. I can still be killed like any other normal human being. And if you find what I am saying so hard to believe, take Ms. Dunes for an example, she is immortal in a way. She slowly gestured to Ashley. Well, I wouldn't say my dying and coming back thing isn't exactly immortality, it's more of a video game, only, well, you know, more painful. Ashley chuckled. Video game? May asked, confused. Video games, you know, they're like a interactive movie. What is a movie? May asked, raising a brow. Everyone looked to Ashley with concern for May. Hey, don't look at me, I just met her, Ashley protested. Time skip to Ashbin's office, 9 p.m. asterisk. So Ms. Lee, although I have very little knowledge of the Beastmasters, I still am honored to have you stay at my academy till further notice, Ashbin said politely. I am honored that you would have here, headmaster. May bowed. Professor Dunes, could you please show Ms. Lee where you and your friends are sleeping? Asked Glinda. Sure thing, Glinda. Ashley smiled. Charlie then hopped on Glinda's shoulder and began begging. Very well, Charlie, but just one, she said as she tossed him a little doggy treat. Charlie greedily grabbed it and munched it up and nuzzled her as a way of saying thanks. Charlie really likes you, doesn't he? Exclaimed Ashley. He's usually that friendly with other people. How strange, May thought. A first tame only shows that kind of affection to their master, unless. Come on, May, I'll show you where we're holed up, Ashley said as Charlie hopped on her shoulder. Ah, yes, of course, May replied, snapping out of deep thought. Lead the way, Ms. Dunes. Oh, and Ashley, Glinda said. You still need to clean the fountain. Oh, right, the fountain, Ashley said, rubbing the back of her neck. As the doors closed and the elevator descended, Ashley looked over to May. So? Ashley said, breaking the silence. May responded, keeping her gaze straight forward. Back at the forest, you kinda gave Ruby a terrifying look. Can I know what that was all about? Ashley said, crossing her arms. Look, I know I've been asking you countless questions since I met you back in the Emerald Forest, but please could you just answer this? Oh, Ashley, during your time in Aberration, how much did Autumn Rose tell you about her people? May suddenly asked out of nowhere. Wait, how'd you know? May just gave Ashley an unamused look. Oh right, you were watching me. Ashley said, being stupid. Well, Autumn kept preaching to me about how her people would return to glory and rule the universe, but I didn't really bother listening to that fucking lunatic. She was hellbent on destroying the entire Ark system. Come to think of it, she never told me what her people were called to begin with. Ashley said, scratching her chin. Silverbloods. May stated. What? They're known as Silverbloods, May repeated. You can tell them apart from others due to their signature silver eyes. Wait, the race that wiped out the Beastmasters, are you saying that it was them? May simply stared forward. God, was Autumn their leader? Ashley asked the Grandmaster. Yes. May replied. But why did they kill us all off? She asked. Ashley, I promise to answer your questions, but only when we're in a more secluded place. Can I trust you to wait until then? Said May. Yeah, but I'm gonna hold you to it. Ashley said as the doors opened. Did you kill her? May asked suddenly. Huh? When you chased Autumn Rose into the ancient temple within the core of Aberration, I was unable to follow. Please tell me, did you kill her? Ashley had a flashback to her plunging the aberrant blade into Autumn's chest. As she laid on the floor dying, she chuckled as the temple was collapsing from the blade being removed from its pedestal. This is only the beginning, Ashley Dunes. She smirked at the blonde Beastmaster. Ashley stared in slight confusion at the dying madwoman. But she didn't have time to ask her anything as debris fell on Autumn, giving Ashley the hint to get the hell out of there. After the flashback, Ashley looked to May. Yeah, I did. May stated for a moment before she silently nodded. I certainly hope so. She said to herself. Come on, May, our sleeping quarters are just outside the classroom. Ashley said, leading her out. Meanwhile, in an unknown location, a woman in black hooded robes looked upon the city of Vale from a distance. So, this is where you've been hiding her summer? She smiled. She looked at the empty vial in her hand. She suddenly had a flashback many centuries ago. I am not afraid of you. A wounded female Beastmaster said, boldly guarding an alchemy table. Is that so? The woman chuckled. You should be. If you want my life's work, you'll have to go through me, Silverblood, hollered the Beastmaster. Well, if you insist. She smiled before plunging her fist through the Beastmaster's chest and then grabbing the vial off her alchemy table. She then pulled out through the Beastmaster, letting her body fall to the floor. The ability to defy death is now mine. She smirked as she left her body to rot. As the flashback ended, the woman smiled. I believe I should be thanking you, cat. She smirked as she dropped the vial and walked off. 36 Chapter 12, Weed Among Flowers. So Maya and Ruby watched Yang in the recovery room eating some cooked meat that was left over from yesterday's lunch. I'm glad Yang's doing okay. Ruby smiled with relief. I done ye worry about your wee little blonde friend, lass. So Maya said, patting her roughly on the back. Ow. She whimpered, rubbing her back. I done be such a baby, I barely tapped ye. How's she doing, so Maya? Asked Ashley, who just came in. The wee lass should be up and running by tomorrow, mate. She smiled. Really, that's great to hear. She sighed. She turned and knelt down to Ruby. Hey Ruby, I'm sorry about Professor Mulberry, she said, laying a hand on her shoulder. I knew he was your favorite teacher. Thank you, Professor Dunes, it's just a lot to process at the moment, you know. Ruby said, looking down. Well, if it helps, we found the one responsible for killing him, and you can rest assured that Anne Green will be brought to justice. Ruby then looked up in confusion. But it couldn't have been Professor Green. We found her tail fur at the scene of the crime, Ruby. But she was with me, Weiss, and Yang during the night the assassins broke into the academy. What? Ashley said, dumbfounded. She was shopping at the dust shop with us all night. Said Ruby. If that's true, then there's no way it could have been Anne. Ashley turned around and began to rethink everything that happened prior. She then remembered a detail that she overlooked at the crime scene of Harold's murder. There was a potted plant that had a vine slightly outstretched as well as a couple broken off leaves on the floor. So Maya, keep an eye on Yang. Ashley said all of a sudden. I lass will do. Peach's classroom. 10:30 p.m. Professor Peach was taking care of the prehistoric plants as if they were her own children, with a look of satisfaction on her face. They are fascinating, aren't they? Said Ashley, leaning against the window with her arms crossed. Peach jumped in surprise upon hearing Ashley. Oh, Ms. Dunes, you scared me there. She sighed. Charlie was perched on Ashley's shoulder, growling at the professor. I thought you huntsmen were hard to sneak up on. She shrugged. Well, I wasn't expecting anyone to actually try. She chuckled nervously. Or maybe because you're a little on edge. Ashley retorted. I beg your pardon? You know, I've been thinking lately about Harold's murder, Ashley said. I'm starting to think and didn't do it. But I find that hard to believe. All the evidence that has been found is stacked against. It's obvious she's guilty. True, but I believe the evidence we found was planted. Ashley said before pulling out her revolver and pointing it at Peach. By you. What? How dare you accuse me of such a thing? Stop with the act, Peach. I know and wasn't here the night the assassins broke and she was with Ruby and her friends. Ashley said, cocking back the hammer. Which means she couldn't have murdered Harold. Peach then smiled and begun to chuckle before putting her hands in the air. Very observant of you, Ms. Dunes. Looks like you caught me red-handed. She smirked. Ashley suddenly felt something prick the back of her neck, and soon as she pulled the thorny needle from her neck she started to become woozy as she dropped the revolver and fell down, trying desperately to stay conscious. She turned to see what shot her with the needle, to see a dark purple flower retracting back into its pot. What the fuck did your plant just shoot me with? She snapped at Peach. You know, I always found the duskshade flower quite fascinating. Peach smiled, walking up to Ashley. When fully grown, it can shoot out special needles that can penetrate aura and injects organisms with a highly narcotic toxin that causes the victim to enter an unconscious state that could last up to a week. You backstabbing, bye. Ashley then passed out from the heavy dosage of narcotic toxin. Peach then smirked as she used her semblance to wrap vines around Ashley and hide her in the overgrown foliage. I'm sure Eleanor will be quite pleased when I deliver you to her. She turned around to see Charlie on the table, who was hissing at her. Oh right, you. She grimaced before grabbing a syringe. Don't worry now, little one, this little serum will just put you to sleep, permanently. Charlie didn't have to be a genius to understand what she was trying to do. He immediately dodged the needle and ran into some nearby foliage. Come back here, you scaly little rat! Peach shouted, searching around the room. Luckily Charlie just managed to slip out of the room unnoticed. Glinda's classroom. 11:00 p.m. *. Glinda was grading the last couple of turned-in papers from her students when Charlie ran and jumped on her desk, startling her. Dear Alm. Don't startle me like that. Glinda sighed. Charlie began rapidly chirping, trying to tell Glinda something. What? What is it? Glinda looked at it, confused. Charlie then tore a leaf off of the plant Glinda had on her desk and shook it around. Hey, that was a gift from Peach. Charlie then bit down on her cape and pulled. Stop that cape is expensive, she said as she yanked it away from the compy. Charlie then growled in frustration and grabbed Glinda by the hair and started pulling once more. Ow! Knock it off. Glinda winced from her hair being pulled. She then took the disciplinarian and used her semblance to toss Charlie off the desk. I swear it's as if Ashley never taught you manners. Charlie growled in frustration, but then got an idea. He snatched the disciplinarian and ran out of the room. Hey! Hey! Glinda got out of her chair and ran after Charlie. Glinda couldn't really focus her semblance without the disciplinarian. She had to get it back. Charlie knew this when he overheard her and Ashley chatting last night. He ran just fast enough to keep a distance from Glinda, but not to where she would lose him. He finally reached Peach's greenhouse, so he dropped the crop in front of entrance and jumped around, chirping. Glinda put her hands on her knees as she caught her breath. I never would have thought something so small would be able to cause so much trouble, she muttered to herself as she yanked her weapon away from the compy. Charlie chirped loudly to get her attention and started scratching on the greenhouse door. Glinda looked in confusion before she realized what Charlie has been trying to do. Glinda slowly opened the door. Yes, Ms. Taylor, I'll have her delivered by morning. Peach quietly spoke into her scroll. Rockwell? Glinda never heard a name like that. Peach looked back in surprise and immediately turned off her scroll. Gee, Glinda, what are you doing here so late? She asked nervously. Peach, what are you doing? She asked, confused. Oh, you know, I am just tending to the greenhouse. She stuttered. This late at night? Well, I never really get a chance to during the day. But you only teach 3 classes a day, how could you not have any time to tend to the greenhouse? Glinda asked. Well, you see. She got interrupted at Charlie digging through the foliage behind her. Hey, get out of there, you damn rat! She yelled at the compy. Charlie chewed through the last vine, and not even a second later Ashley's unconscious body dropped to the floor. Ms. Dunes? Glinda said in shock. What happened to her? She picked her up and noticed a plant-like needle in her neck. Peach, this is from a duskshade flower. Why do you have such a dangerous plant in here? Glinda then used her semblance to smash the plant on the floor. This somewhat triggered Peach as her left eye twitched in anger. Glinda picked up Ashley and begun to make her way to the door. I need to get her to the infirma. She was immediately cut off by thick vines instantly growing and wrapping around each other, blocking the exit. I am afraid I can't let you do that, Goodwitch. Goodwitch was stunned with a sudden realization. She quickly pulled out the disciplinarian, but Peach's vines were faster. It wrapped around Glinda's wrists and neck, restraining her and rendering her helpless. It was you, she shouted. All this time it was you. Peach simply walked over to the table and grabbed Ashley's sickle. How could you let the assassins in and simply stand by as they murdered the children in their sleep? Glinda continued in a tear-filled rage. How could you kill Harold? How could you just Ashbin in the back? Ashbin is nothing more than a selfish bastard, Peach snapped back. He cut the funding to my botanical research, he made me get rid of half the plants I was growing saying they were dangerous to the children, he cancelled half of my classes saying they were irrelevant, he allowed these brats to mistreat the defenseless plant life around Beacon, he is no better than the Schnee Dust Company. Peach took a deep breath and sighed, regaining her composure. Have you ever stopped to think about everything that Mother Nature has done for us, Glinda? She asked suddenly. And yet humans and faunas have repaid her kindness by building monstrous creations that kill the environment, lay waste to everything that's green among their destructive path, they destroy her children day after day as thanks for her kindness. I used to think the Grimm were abominations of nature, but after I spoke with Ms. Audrey Taylor, she opened my eyes. Peach said, walking towards Glinda. The Grimm aren't abominations to nature, they're nature's retaliation toward man. She glared darkly. I'm sorry I had to resort to this, Glinda, but Ms. Taylor gave me an offer that I just could not refuse. She said that her employer would allow the plant life to flourish on Remnant like never before, in return that I help the Federation conquer Remnant. Glinda looked in shock, listening to how insane the woman she considered a friend was sounding. Peach, the Federation are using you for your own gain, their interest is in destruction, not preservation. That may be true, but regardless, the people of Remnant need to be punished for their sins against nature. Peach raised the sickle ready to plunge it into Glinda's chest. I didn't want to end up killing you, Glinda, you were one of my closest friends, but it's too much a risk to keep you alive. Before she could bring the sickle down, Charlie pounced on her and bit down on her ear. Peach immediately screamed in pain as she flailed around trying to grab Charlie. Glinda took the chance to free herself from Peach's vines and get her weapon out. Peach reacted quickly though, she managed to grab Charlie by the tail and throw him at Glinda. Glinda instinctively reacted by catching the compy with her semblance. This gave Peach the opportunity to tackle Glinda to the ground, knocking the disciplinarian out of her hand, and soon after Vines grabbed it and hid it in the overgrown foliage. Peach again attempted to bring the curved blade down on Glinda, but she dodged it and elbowed Peach in the cleavage, causing her to fall to the side in pain. Her aura managed to absorb most of the hit but didn't change the fact that it hurt like hell. Peach grabbed the nearby table and pulled herself up just as she caught her breath, barely managed to dodge a slash from the sickle that Glinda picked up. The blade instead slashed Ashley's music player and caused it to start playing Word Up by the Boss Hoss as the two veteran huntresses were brawling it out. Peach managed to grab the sickle mid-swing and kneed Glinda in her crotch area. Glinda threw a left hook to Peach's face in return. Peach was knocked back from the blow into the table with Ashley's assault rifle. Thinking quickly, she grabbed the barrel of it and immediately smacked Glinda with the other end of the gun, giving her the chance to get a better hold of the rifle and open fire. One of the rounds managed to hit Glinda in her arm. She held her wound and rolled across the table behind her into cover as Peach emptied the rest of the clip. She struggled trying to put a new clip in as she went to other side to see only a trail of Glinda's blood. She walked alongside, following it under an empty table. Peach simply scoffed and immediately fired 12 rounds through the table. She then kicked over to reveal Glinda was not under there. Instead, she appeared behind Peach and planted the sickle into her upper back, causing Peach to scream out in pain once more as she turned around to shoot her coworker, only for Glinda to grab the gun and wrestle Peach for it as the gun fired rounds all over the place. Peach managed to knock down Glinda. She immediately pointed the rifle at her and pulled the trigger, only to hear the click of an empty click of the chamber. Glinda then took advantage of the confusion and licked Peach in the ankle, tripping her. She then pounced on Peach and grabbed her by the hair and begun giving her one left hook after another. Peach managed to grab a nearby flask and smash it across Glinda's face, getting the blonde huntress off of her, and quickly got to her feet and grabbed her own weapon. Since Peach never made an official appearance in the show and was only mentioned in the show, I'm letting you decide what her weapon is, and swung it at Glinda, who ducked and gave a right jab to Peach's side and another to her cheek. Peach then switched her weapon to gun form and blew Glinda back, severely weakening her aura. Stand still so I can make this painless, Peach shouted in frustration, taking aim at Glinda. Glinda put her arms up, bracing herself, but Lady Luck was on her side as Charlie leapt of a nearby table and bit down on the same ear, this time managing to rip the ear off. The immense pain caused Peach to miss her shot, just grazing Glinda. Peach managed to grab Charlie once more and slam him to the ground and pin his tail with her foot to ensure the compy couldn't escape. Die, you fucking scaly rat! Peach screamed in rage as she switched her weapon back to melee and brought it down. Glinda immediately repaid the favor and saved Charlie at the last second by tackling Peach to the floor, knocking her weapon out of her hand. They both ended up in the foliage, knocking the disciplinarian out of hiding. Peach looked in horror, knowing that if Glinda got her weapon back she already lost. She elbowed Glinda off of her and got up to kick away the crop, only to see Charlie holding it in his mouth as he hissed at her. "No!" she screamed, sending vines after the compy. Charlie managed to dodge each of them due to being small and fast. Unbeknownst to Peach in her panic, she accidentally gave Charlie a way to get above her, jumping from vine to vine, and he threw the crop over her. Peach looked in horror to see the disciplinarian land in its original owner's hand. And boy was she mad. Glinda, was all Peach could get out before the cabinet containing all her favorite plants smashed into her, courtesy of Professor Glinda Goodwitch. Her aura now broken, Peach could barely get to her knees, kneeling over in pain. Charlie hopped on Glinda's shoulder as she used her semblance to bring Ashley's revolver to her free hand as she pointed it at her ex-best friend. "Glinda, please, you have to understand that they only wanted me to say this motive in case I was caught. The real reason I did this is because they threatened to kill my family," she said, putting her hand up in a plea of mercy. "You know me, Glinda, I would never do any of this unless I had no other choice." Glinda only stared at her. Unknown to her and Charlie, Peach was actually trying to distract them as she had a vine slowly grab the sickle and raise it up ready to end Glinda. "Glinda, please believe me, I'm your best friend," she said. Glinda had a look of hesitation on her face. If Peach could smirk without alerting her, you know she would. Bang, asterisk. Peach looked down to see a bloody bullet hole in her chest, causing her to drop the sickle, causing Glinda to look behind her to see a now conscious Ashley still laying down but now aiming a fabricated handgun at Peach. She pulled the trigger once more and the round went directly into Peach's forehead. With one last gasp, her eyes rolled up back into her head as she collapsed to the floor dead. In response to her death, all of the foliage and vines begun to wither away and die. The only plants that still remained a healthy green were Ashley's. Ashley sighed. "Good thing I always keep a spare handgun strapped to my dung beetle." Ashley then attempted to stand up only to end up collapsing to the ground again. Glinda rushed over to help her up. "Sorry about that, still a little woozy from the flower." Ashley groaned weakly. "How'd you recover from the dusk shade flower's effects so quickly?" Glinda asked, surprised to see Ashley recovering so quickly. "Glinda, I used get bitten and stung with tranquilizing venom so often that my body started to grow a strong resistance to it. It's just that fucking flower injected me in a new way, plus it caught me off guard." "I see," said Glinda. She looked over to Peach's corpse and stared in silence. Ashley took notice of this. "I'm sorry, Glinda," she said. "I had to put her down, she was gonna stab you in the back." "No, you did what you had to, Ashley, I greatly respect you for that," Glinda said in response. "It's just hard to take in the fact that my close friend was responsible for the past couple of events." Ashley simply nodded slightly. "Well, from what I know about friendship is that anyone can earn you trust, you just need to find out if they are willing to be loyal to the end." Glinda silently nodded. "Now and is going to be punished for the crimes that Peach committed," she said, looking down, slightly ashamed for blindly accusing her coworker. "And now that Peach is dead, we can't prove her innocence. Guess again." Ashley smiled, pointing ahead. Glinda looked to see Charlie dragging her scroll over to her. It was recording the whole time. "I can't believe it," she said, astonished. Charlie booped the red button to stop the recording and let out a chirp. "Well, we should probably tell Oz about this, shouldn't we?" "Yes, but let's get you to your room so you can sleep off the effects," Glinda said, walking Ashley out of the room. "You know when Ann gets out she's gonna be fucking pissed with us," Ashley said as Charlie hopped on Glinda's shoulder. The crazy thing was that Glinda didn't even mind. 36 Chapter 13, A Living Legend. The next day Ashbin held an assembly to notify the students and staff of Peach's betrayal, while Glinda and Ashley took the recording of her confession to the court before they could prosecute Ann. Even though she was back in Beacon, she refused to speak or teach classes for an entire week. Upon Peach's death, Ashley had Somaya take care of the greenhouse while she focused on her class. Speaking of which, Ruby and the others were early to class, so they had to wait outside of Ashley's classroom while Ashley and Olivia prepared for today's lesson. "Geez, I still can't believe Professor Peach was responsible for the dead students and Professor Mulberry," said Coco. "I can't believe I actually looked up to such a monster," Pyrrha said, feeling ashamed. "At least Professor N is back at the academy," said John, trying to lighten the mood. Speaking of lightening the mood, Nora was walking over to them with a huge smile stretched across her face. "Look what I got," she said with glee, holding up a cryopod labeled Amber. "Nora, what are you doing with that?" said Pyrrha. "Professor Dunes will be furious if she realizes." "Relax, Pyrrha, she's not gonna find out," Nora said. "Now how do you open this?" Nora then found a button on the cryopod and she pressed it. As it lit up, she threw it out in front of everyone. What came out appeared to be the head and wings of an eagle attached to the body of a lion, with Ashley's signature colors. "Is that what I think it is?" asked Ren. A griffin? Said Weiss. I thought there were only prehistoric creatures from where Professor Dunes came from. Well, she did say that dragons existed in the Ark system, so it wouldn't be too far-fetched to see other mythical creatures living there. RWBY pointed out. Nora suddenly got on the griffin. Let's see what this beauty can do. She cheered. Nora, get off of it, it doesn't know us and Professor Dunes isn't here to keep it in check. Said Pyrrha. It'll be fine now, come on Amber, show me what you can do, yip yip. Nora cheered. Amber took one look at Nora and then proceeded to roll onto its back and attempt to suffocate her. MMMMMMMMMPH. Nora muffled while flailing her arms around. Hey, get off her, you dumb bird thing. Yang said, kicking Amber. Amber did so, but not before kicking Yang in return. I can breathe again, said Nora. Amber then sat down and begun cleaning her wings without a care in the world. Wow, this griffin is a jerk, said RWBY. Nora, put that griffin back in the cryopod before it causes any more trouble, nagged Weiss. Fine. She groaned. Okay Amber, back into the cryopod you go. Amber, however, didn't want to go back in the cryopod and used its wing to smack it out of Nora's hands and send it flying off the cliff. Oh boy, that can't be good, said John. Alright kids, class is ready to beg you. What the hell is Amber doing out here? Said Ashley, walking out. Everybody immediately pointed at Nora. Ashley gave her a frown. You get an F for the day, she said. Alright, give me her cryopod so we can put her back in. Ashley sighed. Yeah, about that, Amber kinda knocked it off the cliff. RWBY chuckled sheepishly. Ugh, why God. Ashley muttered to herself. Hey, what's she doing now? Velvet said, pointing toward the fountain. Amber was sniffing the fountain. This caused Ashley to enter a small panic. Amber, no, don't you dare. Ashley yelled, running toward the griffin. Amber then lifted up her left hind leg. Everyone then knew what she was gonna do and ran toward, begging her not to do it. No, Amber. Amber, no. Bad griffin. Amber, don't. But it was too late. Amber let the stream fly into the fountain. No. God damn it, Amber. Ashley groaned. Glinda's never gonna let me hear the end of this. She turned to kids. Make sure she doesn't go anywhere, she ordered. I'm gonna go grab a spare cryop. Before she could finish, Amber flew over them and disappeared into the forest. Fuck. Time skip, asterisk. Ashley and her students were on two separate bullheads searching the forest. Any sign of her yet? Ashley asked out loud through her scroll. Not yet, said Pyrrha from the other bullhead. Damn it, where the hell is she? Ashley muttered, becoming more irritated by the minute. Hey, if I manage to find her, does that mean I don't get an F? Asked Nora. Hell no, you're the reason we're in this mess. Ashley snapped. Then her scroll rang, showing that it was a call from Glinda. Oh boy, here we go. Ashley winced as she accepted the call. Hey Glinda, how are you do? MS Dunes, why is the courtyard fountain covered in urine? Look, Nora somehow got her hands on one of my cryopods and let a dino are, particularly one that happens to be an asshole. If it makes you feel any better, I'll put my earnings into a new fountain. Don't you try to put the blame on the students, Ms. Dunes. When you get back, you are going to clean this fountain till it's spotless. Glinda, stop yelling. I get it, I fucked up leaving the cryofridge unlocked and now my griffin's on the loose. You don't have to screech the fact that I fucked up into my ear. Ashley snapped back. You let one of your animals on the loose? Oh fuck me. Ashley groaned as she continued to listen to Glinda nag and bitch at her on the phone. What in Alm's name is that? Asked the pilot. Ashley got over to the cockpit and looked over in confusion to see something flying in the distance. Curious, she took out her spyglass to get a closer look. What is it, Professor? Asked RWBY. Her eyes suddenly widened as she realized what it was. Pilot, land the bullhead now, she yelled. But it was far too late. The tech pteranodon dashed toward the bullhead at an insane speed and begun twirling through the air like a bullet, and the moment it made impact with the bulldog, it exploded, taking off a huge chunk of the bullhead, sending it and its passengers spiraling down. The shrapnel from the kamikaze cyber pterosaur flew into the pilot, instantly killing him and preventing the bullhead any remaining chance of a safe landing. No! Pyrrha screamed, concerned for her friends. Team JNPR as well as Fox and Yatsuhashi were relieved to see Ashley and Team RWBY along with Coco and Velvet jumped out at the last second. Now they got suicide bombing pterodactyls? John yelled in a panic. Look out! Ren shouted as another tech pteranodon soared toward them. Pyrrha shot its wing off, causing it to stray off its target and past the remaining bullhead. It blew up once it made contact with a tree. Two more closing in on our right, yelled the pilot. Ren quickly moved to the other side of the bullhead and shot the one on the right, causing it to fly into the other, causing both to explode. This time, however, the severed head of one went flying into one of the bullhead's engines. Shit, hold on, yelled the pilot, trying to control the crashing vehicle as best he could. The huntsman in training braced for impact as the bullhead came crashing down, destroying trees till finally crashing down to the ground. Ugh, the pilot groaned. Everyone all right? He asked. Yeah, we're fine, said Fox. I guess that's why that Dino woman wanted us to keep our bullheads low, the pilot muttered, getting a pistol out. Wait, where's Pyrrha? Asked John. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, Pyrrha got up and checked her surroundings. She must have gotten separated from the others when the bullhead came crashing down. Looks like I'm on my own as of now. I just hope the others are okay, she thought to herself. She suddenly heard screeching in the distance. She followed it to find Amber struggling to break free from a metal net while being surrounded by Federation troops, 5 of which was wearing armor similar to a tech Dino. Oh no, she whispered to herself. Commander Veras, a soldier said to the present commander. Our tech pteranodons brought down a couple of native aircraft, but scanners are picking up signs of life from the areas where the vehicles crashed. Ashley must be looking for her griffin, and I'm willing to bet those huntsmen we've been hearing about are with her, he said calmly. Have the troops take the ATVs to handle the survivors at the furthest crash site, he ordered. As for the other site, send a couple tech trikes to take care of them. Yes, sir. The soldier nodded. Sergeant Graves, you and the other commandos will remain here with me to make sure the griffin doesn't escape, he said to the armored soldier that was apparently the squad leader of these tech commandos. Pyrrha took out her scroll to warn the others, but it was broken from the fall. Damn, I gotta do something, she thought. She suddenly heard a gun cock. She turned around to defend herself, only to get hit with some kind of electrified tech bola shot out from an odd gun. Sergeant, I subdued a huntress, shouted the tech commando. Meanwhile, at JNRYF's crash site, Pyrrha must have gotten separated from us when the bullhead crashed, said Ren. Don't worry, John, Pyrrha can handle herself, said Nora. I guess you're right, B, but still we should try to regroup with her as soon as we can. We will, don't you worry, John, said Ren. Wait, do you hear that? Said Yatsuhashi. Everyone stood quiet as they begun to hear something large heading their way. The pilot began firing into the woods where the noise was coming from. Soon after, a metallic 3-horned creature bursted through the trees. Robot Triceratops, Nora yelled. The angry tech trike kicked some dust with its front leg, signifying it was going to charge. It then dashed toward the students, who all dived out of the way. The pilot, however, wasn't so lucky, as he immediately got impaled on the trike's front horn, which suddenly begun to heat up with plasma and then disintegrate the screaming man to ash. No, said John. Another trike bursted out of the trees and grunted. Oh great, now there's 2 of them, said Fox. Meanwhile, with RWBY and Ashley Dunes *. Everybody all right? Ashley said as her Archaeopteryx finished lowering her to the ground. Yeah, we're okay, Coco said, dusting herself off. Ashley looked up to the sky to see if there was any more tech pteranodons. Looks like we're clear for now, she said while putting her Archaeopteryx back into a cryopod. She pulled out her scroll to see that there was nothing but static. Anybody's scroll working? She asked the students. They all checked their scrolls to see they also had static on them. Looks like the feds are jamming our signal, Ashley said. I think we're gonna have some company here real soon, kids, and not the good kind. Not even a second after, 2 tech ATVs rolled up, one of which had a mounted gun on the top, manned by a trooper. There they are, pointed out a soldier in the passenger side. Mow 'em down. The gunner turned the mounted gun to Ashley and her students and begun firing on them. Shit! Ashley screamed as she jumped over some wreckage and took cover behind it. The students did so as well. The soldiers exited out of the abs and begun to fire their rifles upon them as well as they closed in. Someone take out that gunner, shouted Ashley, ducking from a bullet. Ruby turned to Weiss. Mind giving me a hand, Weiss? Weiss nodded as she placed glyphs on the trees that led to the mounted turret. Ruby then used her semblance to dash along the glyphs, which caught the gunner's attention, and she turned the turret to hit Ruby, but she was too fast. Weiss placed the last glyph tilted upward to launch Ruby into the sky. The gunner tried to aim the turret upward but looked at it in shock to see she couldn't aim any higher. She looked back in horror as Ruby came flying down with crescent rows in scythe form. The gunner panicked, struggling to get out of the gunner's seat before jumping out at the last second. Ruby managed to destroy the mounted gun, but crescent rows got stuck in the ATV. The soldiers all turned their guns on her, however that proved to be a mistake as Coco took the chance to rev up her minigun. Eat dust, assholes, she yelled as she mowed them all down. After the dust settled, not a single Fed was left standing. Everyone slowly peeled out from cover to see if the coast was clear. Damn nice job, kids, Ashley said, impressed with how fast they took out the Feds. Coco, you handled killing all those Feds pretty. Coco then vomited. Well, Ashley said. Holy I wasn't expecting it to be that gruesome. Coco whimpered with her hands on her knees. Right then, we'd better find the others, said Ashley. I'm pretty sure the Fed sent something after them too. Back with Team J and RFY. Yatsuhashi readied his blade as the tech trike came charging toward him. At the last second he dodged to the side and sliced off the trike's front horn. The metal beast roared in fury as it started swinging its remaining horns at the giant huntsman furiously. Yatsuhashi then blocked the attack with his swords holding in place as Fox dashed in. He took the opportunity to pounce on the trike and stab it in the eyes, blinding it. Yatsuhashi finished it off by plunging his blade through its skull with all his might. John, Nora and Ren were keeping the pressure on the other trike. The remaining trike became frustrated with the huntsman being too fast to hit, so it slammed its front horn into the ground, sending a small shockwave that sent Ren and Nora flying back. Then it charged toward John with all its fury. Being cornered into a tree, John held up his shield desperately hoping it could save him. Bang! Asterisk. The trike collapsed mid-charge and skidded to a stop to where his horn barely tinked John's shield before the lights on its body dimmed out. John looked up to see Ashley holding a smoking long-neck rifle with a lever-action chamber system and scope attached. You kids okay? She hollered out to them. Is Pyrrha with you? John asked. No, I was hoping she'd be with you guys. My guess is she's further down the forest. Ashley said. Back with Pyrrha, asterisk. Well, said the commander taking a puff from his cigarette. You're one of those huntsmen we've been hearing about. He then blowed the smoke of the cigarette into Pyrrha's face, causing her to cough. I suppose you must be a friend of Ashley then if you attempted to save her pet griffin here. He gestured toward the angered griffin. Luckily for you, Huntress, Lady Rockwell wants a live huntsman to analyze. So you get to live a while longer. Holy shit, said a surprised tech commando. Sir, look at the back of her neck. The commander raised an eyebrow before walking over and moving Pyrrha's hair aside to reveal the mark of a beastmaster. Impossible, he muttered to himself. That's right, I have the same mark as Professor Dunes. Pyrrha said, hoping to scare the commander a little more. Commandos execute her immediately. Having one beastmaster around is irritating enough. But sir, she's still a huntress. Shouldn't we bring her to? Kill her now, we can always find another one. He shouted. The tech commandos looked to each other before shrugging and aiming their weapons at Pyrrha. Pyrrha closed her eyes waiting for death. But at a moment's flash a hooded figure jumped out of the trees and decapitated both commandos before she landed. Who is that? Who cares? Shoot her, yelled the commander. The tech commandos fired their tech rifles at the hooded woman, but she elegantly dodged each blast and even sent one flying back into one of them, killing him. The remaining tech commando decided that she wouldn't be able to hit her with the rifle and took out her tech sword. She then dashed toward the woman and slashed downward, only to look in surprise that the sword didn't even cut through the Chinese-looking blade. The hooded woman then threw her attacker back as they both engaged in a duel. Pyrrha looked at the woman in awe. She was so elegant, skilled at dueling with nothing but a sword, it was almost as if she was dancing. The woman then managed to slice off the commando's leg before plunging her blade into her chest, finishing the commando off. She pulled out and sheathed it before walking toward Pyrrha. The commander put his handgun to the woman's head. You forgot me, you fucking bitch. No, I did not, she stated calmly. Amber suddenly tackled the commander and devoured him. Then Amber turned to face the woman. Sit, she ordered it. Amber did just that. Ms. Dunes should have more authority over her animals. The woman sighed. She then knelt down to Pyrrha. Are you all right, child? Yeah, who are you? Hey, who the hell are you? Ashley said, aiming her revolver at the woman. I am not your enemy, Ms. Dunes, said the woman. To be honest, I have been watching you for some time now. Wha, how long were you watching me? She said in shock. Just who the hell are you? I suppose my introduction has been long overdue. The woman sighed. She slowly stood up and removed her hood. Ashley's jaw dropped upon seeing her face. No way, your dash. I am Mayin Li, the Grand Beastmaster. Chapter 14, The Grandmaster. Ashley couldn't believe her eyes. It was the Beast Queen herself, the first Beastmaster that ever lived, Grand Beastmaster Mayin Li. She read her notes and read the legends and stories of her in the various tombs of ancient Beastmasters she's explored, and here she was standing in front of her. Ashley grabbed a stick and shakily poked May in the boob. What are you doing? May deadpanned. Holy crap, you're not actually a vengeful ghost trying to kill me in a blind rage. Ashley said in shock. No, Ms. Dunes, I'm not a vengeful spirit unlike our ancient brethren. I'm perfectly alive and healthy, as you can see. May sighed. Oh my god, I have so much to ask you. Ashley flustered. How are you still alive and still look to be in your early 30s? How old are you exactly? Were you really the first? Did you really train all the Beastmasters? Did you know Edmund before he became a mutant psychopath? Ms. Dunes. May said calmly. How many Beastmasters were there? Are there any still alive besides us? Was it true we were the guardians to the people of the Ark system? How many creatures did each Beastmaster have? Ms. Dunes. How long has our order been around? How did you train Beastmasters? Are you actually a lesbian? Ms. Dunes. May snapped. Ashley stopped in her tracks. Please stop talking, said May. And also that last question isn't true. That part about my time with Diana got lost in translation. She muttered. Alright, sorry, Ashley said sheepishly. The rest of the students came rushing in. Professor Dunes, did you find Pyr? John started but stopped upon seeing, who is that? He asked, staying on guard. Kids, this here is a living legend. She's the Grand Beastmaster May Ainley, Ashley said excitedly. She's the first Beastmaster. I thought you were the only one left, said Weiss. I thought so too, but yet here stands an ancient legend, and she still looks 32, Ashley exclaimed. But seriously, how old are you? Ms. Dunes, please stop asking me about my age. May deadpanned. Right, sorry. Since you all know of my existence, I suppose I have no choice but tag along with you, May sighed. Beacon was the name of your academy, correct? Yep, and I'm Ruby Rose. I'm really happy to meet another Beastmaster. Can I see your dinos sometime? Ruby said happily. Rose? May whispered. She glared at her silver eyes. Silver eyes? She growled to herself. Ruby slowly reeled back from the scary glare May was giving her. Are you okay? Ashley asked May. Oh yes, I'm fine, May assured her. We should probably get you children back to Beacon. Right, you got any flying mounts with you? Ashley asked. The bullheads we came here on were shot down, and the pilots were killed, and I doubt Amber can carry everyone. May turned around and whistled. After a moment of silence, a giant Nevermore that had gray faceplate, a yellow body, and shining white eyes flew down to their area. The students stated in awe of how May managed to calm and tame such a big Grim under the radar. If recall correctly, the biggest flying mount you managed to tame was a Quetzal, correct? May said, giving a small smile. Well, it's not a competition, you know. Ashley mumbled, crossing her arms. This caused a couple of the students to snicker. Well, this Nevermore should hold about 9 of you. Ms. Dunes, Amber can carry you and 3 others, correct? Yeah, Ashley said with a nod. Good, then lead the way back for me and Ingzi, May said. Time skip, asterisk. Ruby was behind Ashley on Amber, who happened to be carrying both Nora and John. Ashley was lost in thought, however. Why was May giving Ruby such a dirty look, asterisk, she thought. Could there be a connection between Ruby and Autumn? Autumn, why am I thinking about that mad woman? I killed her back in Aberration 2 years ago. Now that I think about it, they both had silver eyes, and Autumn's last name was Rose, asterisk. Professor Dunes? Ruby suddenly asked. What is it, Ruby? Ashley responded, snapping out of deep thought. Do you think Ms. Lee hates me? She asked. What makes you say that, Ruby? Ashley said, looking back over to her. When I introduced myself to her, she gave me a terrifying glare. Asked Ruby. She's probably just a little on edge after that fight with the feds. Ashley tried to assure her. I'm sure it'll pass eventually. Ruby just nodded and kept quiet. When I get a chance with May alone, I'm gonna ask what the hell is going on, asterisk, Ashley thought as she looked forward to see Beacon coming into view. I think I'm gonna be sick, groaned John from Amber's grip. Don't even think about it, John, I will drop you right here, yelled Ashley. John just covered his mouth to prevent himself vomiting. Glinda and Ashbin were running up, weapons ready upon seeing the Nevermore, but became at ease upon seeing it was Ashley on the Griffin. Ms. Dunes, are the children okay? Glinda asked with concern. Yeah, they're all fine. We happened to get ambushed by the feds. Ashbin looked upon the Nevermore. Why is this one color different than your other animals? He asked. Because it's not mine, she stated. What? Glinda shouted. It's hers, Ashley said, pointing at May Ainley, who was jumping down from the Nevermore. Glinda, Ashbin, meet them, first Beastmaster that ever lived, Grandmaster May Ainley, Ashley said excitedly. But I thought you said you were the last one, said Glinda. Apparently not, she's been hiding for Lord knows how long. 5 feet 230 inches years, May stated calmly. Wait, are you actually claiming to be over 5,000 years old? Said Weiss, finding my statement to be unreal. I'm 7,852 years old to be exact. May deadpanned. That's not possible. You're saying you're immortal? Weiss bagged, beginning to think this woman was insane. Not exactly, child, my inability to age is due to eternal life, May stated. I can still be killed like any other normal human being. And if you find what I am saying so hard to believe, take Ms. Dunes for an example. She is immortal in a way. She slowly gestured to Ashley. Well, I wouldn't say my dying and coming back thing isn't exactly immortality, it's more of a video game, only well you know, more painful. Ashley chuckled. Video game? May asked confused. Video games, you know, they're like a interactive movie. What is a movie? May asked raising a brow. Everyone looked to Ashley with concern for May. Hey, don't look at me, I just met her. Ashley protested. Time skip to Ashbin's office 9 p.m. So Ms. Lee, although I have very little knowledge of the Beastmasters, I still am honored to have you stay at my academy till further notice. Ashbin said politely. I am honored that you would have here, headmaster. May bowed. Professor Dunes, could you please show Ms. Lee where you and your friends are sleeping? Asked Glinda. Sure thing, Glinda. Ashley smiled. Charlie then hopped on Glinda's shoulder and began begging. Very well, Charlie, but just one. She said as she tossed him a little doggy treat. Charlie greedily grabbed it and munched it up and nuzzled her as a way of saying thanks. Charlie really likes you, doesn't he? Exclaimed Ashley. He's usually that friendly with other people. How strange. May thought. A first time only shows that kind of affection to their master, unless. Come on, May, I'll show you where we're holed up. Ashley said as Charlie hopped on her shoulder. Ah yes, of course, May replied, snapping out of deep thought. Lead the way, Ms. Dunes. Oh, and Ashley, Glinda said. You still need to clean the fountain. Oh, right, the fountain. Ashley said, rubbing the back of her neck. As the doors closed and the elevator descended, Ashley looked over to May. So? Ashley said, breaking the silence. May responded, keeping her gaze straight forward. Back at the forest you kinda gave Ruby a terrifying look. Can I know what that was all about? Ashley said, crossing her arms. Look, I know I've been asking you countless questions since I met you back in the Emerald Forest, but please could you just answer this? Oh. Ashley, during your time in Aberration, how much did Autumn Rose tell you about her people? May suddenly asked out of nowhere. Wait, how'd you know? May just gave Ashley an unamused look. Oh right, you were watching me. Ashley said, being stupid. Well, Autumn kept preaching to me about how her people would return to glory and rule the universe, but I didn't really bother listening to that fucking lunatic. She was hellbent on destroying the entire Ark system. Come to think of it, she never told me what her people were called to begin with. Ashley said, scratching her chin. Silverbloods. May stated. What? They're known as Silverbloods, May repeated. You can tell them apart from others due to their signature silver eyes. Wait, the race that wiped out the Beastmasters, are you saying that it was them? May simply stared forward. God, was Autumn their leader? Ashley asked the Grandmaster. Yes. May replied. But why did they kill us all off? She asked. Ashley, I promise to answer your questions, but only when we're in a more secluded place. Can I trust you to wait until then? Said May. Yeah, but I'm gonna hold you to it. Ashley said as the doors opened. Did you kill her? May asked suddenly. Huh? When you chased Autumn Rose into the ancient temple within the core of Aberration, I was unable to follow. Please tell me, did you kill her? Ashley had a flashback to her plunging the aberrant blade into Autumn's chest. As she laid on the floor dying, she chuckled as the temple was collapsing from the blade being removed from its pedestal. This is only the beginning, Ashley Dunes. She smirked at the blonde Beastmaster. Ashley stared in slight confusion at the dying madwoman. But she didn't have time to ask her anything as debris fell on Autumn, giving Ashley the hint to get the hell out of there. After the flashback, Ashley looked to May. Yeah, I did. May stated for a moment before she silently nodded. I certainly hope so. She said to herself. Come on, May, our sleeping quarters are just outside the classroom. Ashley said, leading her out. Meanwhile, in an unknown location, a woman in black hooded robes looked upon the city of Vale from a distance. So, this is where you've been hiding her summer? She smiled. She looked at the empty vial in her hand. She suddenly had a flashback many centuries ago. I am not afraid of you. A wounded female Beastmaster said, boldly guarding an alchemy table. Is that so? The woman chuckled. You should be. If you want my life's work, you'll have to go through me, Silverblood, hollered the Beastmaster. Well, if you insist. She smiled before plunging her fist through the Beastmaster's chest and then grabbing the vial off her alchemy table. She then pulled out through the Beastmaster, letting her body fall to the floor. The ability to defy death is now mine. She smirked as she left her body to rot. As the flashback ended, the woman smiled. I believe I should be thanking you, Kay. She smirked as she dropped the vial and walked off. 36 Chapter 15, Dreams of the Past. Ruby watched from her dorm window as Ashley let May into her sleeping quarters. Hey sis, what ya doing? Said Yang, looking over to her sister from her bed. I think May Ainley hates me. She said, not even looking Yang's way. I doubt that, she just met you. Yang reassured her little sister. Look, Ruby, I'm sure May is just having a hard time adjusting to Remnant, said Weiss. May stopped at the door and looked up to the window of Team RWBY's dorm. Eep! Ruby squeaked as she tackled her sister to the ground to avoid being seen. Take it easy, Rube, I don't think she saur us. Yang grinned. Oh no, said Blake, realizing that Yang came up with new puns. Yang, don't start with the puns. Weiss groaned. Sorry, princess, I can't, I know what to tell you. Ugh. Yang, please stop. Ruby pleaded. I'm saure about the half-baked puns, I feel terrible. I'm going to get some fresh air, said Blake, walking out of the room. Nothing will triceratop this pun master. Yang. Ruby and Weiss yelled one annoyance. Meanwhile, in JNPR's room, Pyrrha laid on her bed staring up at the ceiling. To think I have the same ability as Professor Dunes and Grandmaster Mei Ainley, she thought to herself. Come to think of it, she became a huntress with the intentions to protect the innocent, but unknown to her friends she secretly always felt bad for having to kill the Grimm. She knew it had to be done, but it wasn't as if they knew any better. They're soulless animals after all, if anything they're just acting out of nature. Hey Pyrrha, Nora said cheerfully, popping out of nowhere. Ah? Pyrrha yelped before instinctively using her semblance to throw a pan at Nora. Pyrrha then winced, realizing she just hit her teammate. I'm sorry. John and Ren then walked in and sighed. Nora, this is why you can't just sneak up on people like that, said Ren. I can't help it, Ren. Nora replied, standing up and rubbing her head. Everything all right, Pyrrha? Ren asked, turning toward her. Yes, I'm fine, Ren. She smiled. Are you sure, Pyrrha? Asked John, a little worried. Ever since you killer we came back from rescuing Olivia, you've been acting different. John, you don't have worry, I'm fine really, she assured her leader. Well, okay, John said before smiling back. Well guys, let's head to bed, we got an early day tomorrow. Hope I get to break some legs, cheered Nora. Please don't, sighed Ren. Good night everyone, Pyrrha said before hitting the sack. Later, Pyrrha opened her eyes to see that she was no longer in her dorm. She jumped out of bed and attempted to grab Milo and Akuo, only to realize that they weren't there either. Pyrrha took a moment to calm down. This must be a dream, she reassured herself. She then took the moment to explore her surroundings. She realized it was night. She was in a huge village unlike any other she's seen. It was almost a city. Buildings varied from wood, stone and metal, and the village was inhabited by dinosaurs of all kinds with unusual colors similar to Professor Dune's dinos. And they were being catered to by people of all race, age and gender. Oh hello, I haven't seen you around. Are you visiting from one of the nearby settlements from Valguero? She turned around to see a friendly man in his mid-20s leading a dark blue, black and white pteranodon by the reins. Yeah, I was blessed with the mark and my family agreed to have me sent here to become a fully fledged beastmaster, said another voice. Pyrrha turned once more to see a little 5-year-old girl. The man then phased through Pyrrha, giving her quite a shock. Well, little one, the name's Talahad Draco. He smiled. If you want to become an initiate you'll have to visit Jet Johnson. He handles all the new youngbloods that come here. I think he's talking to Huntmaster Drakeblood over in the initiation center. Thank you, Mr. Draco. The girl smiled as she headed off in that direction. What in Alm's name is going on? Pyrrha asked herself. I'd be careful with all that experimentation with element diameter, said a familiar voice. I wouldn't want one of my top students to end up like Edmund. Pyrrha looked over to see none other than Grandmaster Mei Ainley. And she was talking to some kind of cyborg-like woman. I'm fine really, Grandmaster, the cyber woman smiled. I got everything under control. If that's so, then why did Talahad reported that during a mission yesterday your arm malfunctioned and blew up a random villager's house? Mei stated, raising a brow. Damn, I knew Draco couldn't keep his mouth shut. Dia muttered. Well, maybe the arm can use a few tweaks. She smiled nervously. Mei simply sighed and rolled her eyes. Just keep it under control, that's all I ask, she said, turning around to walk away. And also stop tinkering with your modifications in front of the youngbloods. Your appearance alone already frightens them enough. You got it, boss. She saluted. Pyrrha decided to follow the Grandmaster. The Grandmaster was quite friendly to everyone who acknowledged and greeted her as she made her way to the initiation center. So, old man, how are the youngbloods doing? Said a hooded figure with a unique bow strapped to his back. They are learning quite quickly, Mr. Drakeblood. The older man smiled. Some of them already tamed their first animal. Really? Exclaimed the hooded man. That's very impressive, these youngbloods show much potential. Indeed they do, Kazuma, smiled the old man. Mei walked toward both of them, causing them both to bow to the Grandmaster. Grandmaster Lee, greeted Kazuma. Have you come to see the progress of the youngbloods? Asked the old man. Perhaps another time, Jet. She replied. Kazuma, may I speak to you in private? Of course, Grandmaster. Nodded Kazuma. Excuse us, Johnson. Kazuma followed May into a secluded part of the initiation center. What is it, May? He asked. A man from the West Village came to me with this, concerning photo he took earlier today while he was on a walk. May said, handing Kazuma a photo. Kazuma looked in shock at the photo. It was a herd of wild triceratops all slaughtered. No meat, hide or anything were taken from them, they were just left there. The man said the herd was merely grazing, peacefully minding their own business when a group of warriors came out of nowhere and butchered them and left their bodies to rot, May explained. He was too fearful for his own life to intervene, so he hid behind some rocks. I don't know who could be so disrespectful to the wildlife and be so wasteful. It couldn't have been bandits, said Kazuma. They would have at least taken the hide and horns to sell for profit. The man reported the warriors all had silver-colored eyes. Silver eyes? Exclaimed Pira. Kazuma looked up to May in confusion. Silver? That's not a natural eye color. Are you certain this man is telling the truth? I was just as skeptical, Kazuma, said May. But the witness was not intoxicated and the look in his eyes told me he truly believed what he saw was real. So you want me to investigate what is up with these silver-eyed people? Asked Kazuma. Precisely, you're my eyes and ears, Kazuma. I want you to tell me what the hell is happening within the Arc system, said May. Consider it done, May. Kazuma nodded. Kazuma walked out of the center. Grandmaster Lee, shouted an ecstatic little girl. What is it, Emily? She asked, turning around. Look, I did it, I tamed my first dinosaur, she exclaimed, pointing at a juvenile pink, green and yellow Dilophosaur. A well done, little one. She chuckled. You'll become a fine beast master. She put her hand on the girl's shoulder. Remember now, Amy, May said. The bond between a beastmaster and their first tame is a sacred one and can never be replaced. Protect him with your life and he will do the same. Grandmaster May, what happened to your first tame? The girl asked. May's smile faded. He sacrificed himself to save me, she said. But that is in the past. You must focus on what is happening now and the path you choose to take. Okay, Grandmaster, I'll make you proud, she said with determination, before running off. A beastmaster's first tame is sacred? Pira said to herself. Pira then peacefully woke up and sat up in her bed, reflecting on the dream she had. Meanwhile, in Team RWBY's dorm. Ruby. Ruby opened her eyes to see nothing but a wall of ice. Ruby. Who's there? She asked, putting her fists up in an attempt to look intimidating but only ended up appearing adorable. Behind you. Ruby turned to see what seemed to be her mother, but her robes were black instead of white. Mom, the woman chuckled. Not quite, I'm your mother's sister, the woman said, pulling back her hood. She looked a lot like her mother Summer, only her hair was much longer and her smile wasn't as soothing. Huh? Ruby said, confused. Hey, I should have known she'd never tell you about you good old Aunt Autumn Rose. The woman chuckled. My aunt? Ruby asked. Yes, Ruby, she chuckled once more. I managed to reach you through the dream you're currently having. Why come to me now? Asked Ruby. I just managed to get to Remnant, dear niece, Autumn smiled. I don't suppose Summer told you we aren't originally from this world, did she? Ruby couldn't believe what this woman was saying. What are you talking about? She said, taking a step back. As Ashley may have already told you, human beings live in different worlds, not just Remnant. Autumn explained. We happen to be a special breed, Ruby. Have you ever wondered what was so special about your silver eyes? She asked Ruby as she began to slowly pace around her. They're the mark of a silver blood, she explained. A type of human that's destined to become a great warrior. I can show you what your purpose is, what you're destined for. All you have to do is take my hand. Autumn reached out for Ruby's hand. Ruby stared at the hand, then hesitantly began to reach for Autumn's hand. But just before she could grab Autumn's hand, a familiar weapon pierced through the ice wall. Autumn simply sighed. Even in death, she doesn't know when to quit. The weapon pierced the wall again and again until it finally shattered to reveal who was wielding it. Mom, Ruby exclaimed. Summer, how have you been, little sis? Summer immediately threw her weapon at Autumn's face before she could even finish speaking. Ruby immediately woke up after that. What on Remnant is going on? She thought to herself. The next morning, Mayili was tending to her featherlight Aya when Pira walked up to her. Ms. Lee, I have been thinking and I want you to train me into a beast master, she asked. May looked at Pira. No, she said flat out. Why no? I will not train you, she said, sitting up. Why not? The Beastmaster order was wiped out centuries ago. I'm merely all that's left over from it, and I refuse to rebuild it just to watch it crumble once more, May explained, walking away. But there's a reason the Beastmasters are returning. As far as I know you, Ms. Dunes and I are the only ones that bear the mark, she retorted. I'd hardly call that a return. But we're not extinct. If the Beastmasters were done for, there wouldn't be anyone left. I said, no, Ms. Nikos, that is final. I had a dream about you, the old Beastmasters. Pyrrha shouted. May stopped dead in her tracks. What names did you hear in your dream? Talahad Draco, Kazuma Drakeblood, Diana Harmonia, and Jet Johnson. May couldn't believe her ears. Those were the names of her top pupils back then. She simply took a deep sigh. Fine, meet me in the forest at noon, we'll start your training there. End chapter. 36 Chapter 16, of Men and Beasts. May sighed as she looked at the time on her scroll. Where is she? May muttered. Here I am, Pyrrha said, walking up with her armor, spear, and shield. You brought your weapons? Asked May. Of course, said Pyrrha, we're guaranteed to run into Grimm out here. May I see them? May asked. Certainly. Pyrrha said, handing them to the Grandmaster. Fine craftsmanship, these have served you well, I presume? Indeed they have. I saved many lives and slain many Grimm with them. Fascinating, however. May suddenly tossed Akuo and Milo over her shoulder into the bush. You will not be needing weapons for today's lesson. Pyrrha ran to her weapons only for a Bigfoot to grab them and keep them away from her. I'll have Cheongdu return your weapons after the lesson. May reassured her. Come now, Pyrrha. Pyrrha looked at May as if she was insane but hesitantly decided to follow her. What happens if we run into Grimm? She asked. I won't be able to defend myself. That's precisely what you are going to tame today. What? Pyrrha said, dumbfounded. A Beastmaster does not choose their first tame, the creature chooses them. How do you know a Grimm is going to be my first tame? Instinct. May explained. Also the fact there's no wild dinos on Remnant. Oh, right. Pyrrha said, rubbing the back of her neck. So how do I know which one is going to be it? It will be the only one that refuses to leave. May stated simply. Huh? Pyrrha said, confused. You'll see. May replied as they reached an open area of the forest filled with Grimm of various types. Pyrrha was on edge. They were in front of a horde of Grimm without any weapons. The Grimm all begun to close in on the two until shouted. Stop! Every Grimm stopped immediately. Leave, she ordered. Sure enough, they all left, all except one. Since only 3 people voted, I decided to just try something else. I heard about how Rooster Teeth disqualified Miyuki Art's entry for the Grimm cause of the minority of the fan base that happened to be PC nut jobs whining about it being offensive to Native American culture. Cough, bullshit. Cough, I decided to include it in the story to do her a little justice. May turned to Pyrrha and pointed toward the Wendigo. That shall be your first tame. She said as if it'll be easy as hell. Are you insane? That's one of the most dangerous type of Grimm out here. Pyrrha shouted. May handed her an empty cryopod. We are not leaving until you tame that beast, she ordered. Pyrrha looked to the cryopod and then the Wendigo. She sighed. Okay, so what do I do? She asked. You must not be afraid, Ms. Nikos, May lectured. First you must show it you mean it no harm, soothed the beast. But you must not show submission nor domination. Second, you must bond with it. Then you place your hand on it. Right, okay, I can do this, she said before marching toward the Wendigo only for it to smack her right back next to May. You were trying to be dominant. May sighed. The relationship between a Beastmaster and her animals is not a master-slash-slave complex, it is a bond of companionship. You want me to be friends with a Grimm? Pyrrha asked, confused. I'm merely instructing you how to tame the wildlife. May scoffed. What I want is for you to listen. Now then, May gestured toward the Wendigo. Try again. Pyrrha sighed as she got up and did as such, and the Wendigo smacked her back once more. Now you're being too laid back, May pointed out. Try again. This woman's insane, Pyrrha muttered to herself. Multiple attempts later, asterisk. Pyrrha got up once again and dusted herself off. This is impossible, she groaned. If you truly believe that, then perhaps you don't deserve the gift you were given at birth, lectured May. Pyrrha stood silent. If you have any negative thoughts toward your go, the more likely you are to fail. Now try again. Pyrrha looked toward the Wendigo and took a deep breath. She slowly walked toward it once more. The beast growled and got ready to smack her away once more. May sighed as she waited for the inevitable. Enough, Pyrrha yelled at it, making it freeze. I have no intention of hurting you, so stop hurting me. May raised a brow as she watched. The Wendigo tilted its head. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be dead. I will trust you if you're willing to do the same. The Wendigo stood silent. It then lowered its head toward Pyrrha, who hesitantly reaches out her hand and placed it on its snout. The Wendigo then begun to change color and look less demonic looking. After the transformation, it was red and yellow with green eyes. It looked as majestic as a lion. "Congratulations, Ms. Nikos, you've tamed your first beast," May said in a calm tone. Meanwhile, Federation troops loaded crates of dust onto the cargo teleporter and had it sent it to General Valen's base located on the island. Where his men immediately took it the general and his men who were set to execute a villager that had aided Ashley in the past. "The Beastmaster will be the end of you bastards, just you see," the villager yelled. The general, unamused, grabbed the villager by the hair and jammed his cigarette right into his left eye, making the villager wail in pain. He then left it in the poor man's eye socket. "General Valen, the shipment has arrived," said one of the soldiers carrying the dust. "Lovely timing," said the middle-aged general. "We just happen to have a subject to test this dust on. Load up, boys," he ordered out loud. The firing squad filled their clips with the dust bullets. "You sure as hell like to plant your boot on the weak, don't you, Valen?" the villager mocked him. "I bet even your own mother is disgusted by you, you sadistic bastard." "Ready," he ordered the squad. "Killing me won't solve anything, the Beastmaster will expose the Federation for the scummy piece of shit it is." The villager continued. "Aim. One of these days, you're gonna get what you fucking deserve. Fire." Click, 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 asterisk. The soldier looked down at their weapons in confusion. Valen yanked one of the soldier's rifles from him and inspected the clip. The dust within the bullets were now a full gray. Worthless. The moment the dust had left Remnant's atmosphere, it was rendered completely worthless. The general let out a low sigh before calmly grabbing a grenade, pulled the pin out and casually tossed it over his shoulder at the villager. The villager didn't even get a chance to scream as the grenade immediately blew him into chunks. Valen then pulled out a new cigarette and lit it. He took a puff and turned over to the communications officer. "Inform Lady Rockwell," he ordered. "Yes, sir," said the officer. "Oh, and send up a cleaning crew to clean up this trash as well," he ordered, gesturing to what was left of the villager. On Rockwell's ship, asterisk. The maids gathered around with grim looks on their faces outside Eleanor's personal quarters. The oldest maid placed a cup of straws onto a nearby table. After a moment passed, they all begun drawing straws one by one. After all the straws were taken, the one with the shortest straw looked in horror. She immediately looked up to her fellow maids and shook her head, no whimpering, with tears in her eyes. The other maids pushed her into Eleanor's room. Eleanor, who was sitting down at her dining room table drinking a fine glass of wine, immediately looked over to the maid as the door closed. The other maids watched as their unlucky coworker whispered the news into Lady Rockwell's ear. Eleanor coughed a bit before placing her glass on the table, standing up and patting the maid on the shoulder, before grabbing the back of the maid's head and viciously slamming her head into the dining table, over and over and over again. Despite Eleanor's room being soundproof, the other maids could still hear the brutal crunch of that last slam. After taking a moment to catch her breath, Eleanor tossed the twitching maid's body to the side like a piece of trash. She then came out of the room as the other maids immediately formed single file, averting Eleanor's haze, not one daring to look her in the eye. "Get Salem on the line," Eleanor growled. 36 Chapter 17, Scav Attack. Emerald Forest Midnight. "Hurry up, man, I want to get to Vale before the Grim come out," said a man to another as they were escorting a carriage with supplies to Vale. "You must remain calm, Dusk," said the other man who was tending to his daughter in the carriage. "It's only a few miles away." "Right, damn things are attracted to negative emotion," said another. "Mr. Oak, I wanted to thank you again for escorting us to Vale," said the father. "A lot of us are at ease knowing that there is a huntsman with us." Mr. Oak, however, wasn't listening as his focus was turned to the back of them. "What's wrong, Mr. Oak?" "Something's following us," he said. "Grim," the father said, worried. "No, nor is it bandits, it's something else entirely." "What is it then?" "That's what I would like to know." "You sure you're not imagining things?" said the driver. "There hasn't been any signs of life the past 20 mil." The driver was cut off with a stone arrow planting itself into his skull. "It's an ambush," Oak shouted. "Get your weapons." The scene switched to a first-person view of whatever is attacking them, running down the branch of tree and jumping down on one of the men with a spear, shrieking at him before it faded to black. Meanwhile, "Ms. Rockwell, I truly was unaware of what would happen to the dust leaving Remnant's atmosphere." Salem attempted to defuse the tension. "I despise being swindled, Salem. Though you may be immortal, you should be well aware there are fates worse than death." Eleanor threatened her through the hologram. Salem didn't take too kindly to being threatened, but she was also well aware of the power Eleanor held. "Perhaps there is something else that Remnant could offer you." "What else could this shithole possibly offer me?" Salem thought for a moment. "The maidens." "Maidens? They are 4 guardians that possess magic power that could be very useful to the Federation." And even if we could cyberize humans, what's to say their power would vanish as well? Eleanor narrowed her eyes. I'm afraid I made up my mind, Salem. Once I arrive I will tear Remnant to pieces to see if there's anything worth salvaging. Commander Diaz, shouted a Fed scout. We lost contact with the camp set up. Noro El Lady Rockwell, I am sorry, I did not know you were. You'd better have very important news for interrupting me. Eleanor snarled. We lost contact with the northern outpost and none of the personnel there have any vital signs showing. So Dunes raided another outpost, none of my concern. That's the thing, Lady Rockwell, it wasn't Professor Ashley Dunes. The scout replied. Eleanor then raised an eyebrow. The scout then took out a dino bone helmet. This is all we found at the outpost. So those aberrant rats are here as well? Eleanor sighed. Friends of Dunes, I presume? Salem asked. Not at all, to be frankly, they're on no one side. Eleanor scoffed. They're merely primitive barbaric savages that will kill and eat anything they get their hands on, even other people. They're merely pests if anything. What if I could persuade them to our side then? If they have primitive minds they might believe me to be a god. As if they'd be that easily swayed, they would more likely to think of you as a demon. Not mention you're already on thin ice with me, Salem. Eleanor snarled. Besides, the only beings they worshipped as gods were the... Eleanor suddenly went silent upon realizing something. Now that I think about it, perhaps there is something your world can offer me. Salem looked in confusion toward Eleanor. You may keep the dust, Tech Grim, and whatever else you desire. All I want in return is a girl. I believe she went by the name Ruby Rose. The next morning. So these poor guys got ambushed last night, and here's, well, what's left of them, said Ashley, trying not vomit at the mauled skeletal remains of the men at the carriage. They're all picked clean. May brought up as she investigated the corpses. Couldn't have been feds, then maybe it was Grim? Ashley asked, turning towards Team RWBY. No, Grim wouldn't have left anything behind, said Blake. Whatever attacked them, it was something else. May looked to the back of the carriage before turning to the others. I believe we found our culprits, she said. The others jogged over to her to see a dead gray-skinned humanoid wearing a dino bone helmet, dressed in primitive ragged clothing that had glowing stripes around his skin. Ashley kicked the body over to reveal it was also wearing goggles with dark lens and an open mouth with carved jagged teeth. Scavs? Ashley exclaimed. How did they get here? Scavs? Asked Weiss. They're natives of the underground world aberration, May said. Once villagers that have been turned into barbaric savages that will kill and eat anything they come across, even other people. You? Ruby winced in disgust. Yeah, I had a similar reaction when I first ran into them, said Ashley. They were once villagers? Asked Blake. May sighed. I suppose I should give you all a quick summary of the villagers of aberration. The scene then switched to that storyboard style the actual show uses to tell Remnant's history. Back during the glory days of the Beastmasters, when we finished setting up our haven in the main island, we sent groups of our own to settle the other worlds. I accompanied the group that traveled to aberration, for I knew the world quite well. Of course, the other worlds had their own villagers. They all heard of the Beastmasters and most were happy to welcome us, that is, except the villagers of aberration. Now back then they were normal humans such as you children, only they were pale-skinned due to never being able to be in the sunlight. Ren, why couldn't they be in the sun? Well, you see, aberration was a word that thrived underground. The surface, however, had an unstable ozone layer. While we could still breathe oxygen, it was a death wish to be on the surface during the day, as the sun would instantly burn everything it would shine upon. Young, ouch, no wonder they prefer to be cave dwellers. Indeed, as I was saying, they weren't hostile, but they weren't very friendly to us either. They held different ideologies than us, believing that nature did not need man's help and should be left well alone. As soon as they saw us, they threatened us to leave and never return, or they would kill us. Luckily, we were accompanied. A certain scientist by the name of Sir Edmund Rockwell also happened to be very charismatic as well as intelligent. Pira, Edmund? You mean the man who founded the Federation? Ashley. Well, back then the Federation wasn't corrupt, it was actually pretty fair and decent corporation. It just ever since his son Edward Rockwell took over, it began to evolve through the Rockwell bloodline into the black-hearted military corporation we know today. As I was saying, he convinced the aberrant villagers to let us settle and make a sanctuary for our order in aberration as long as we were far away from any of their tribes and villagers, and only tame animals within our territory. They also let Edmund to conduct his research. In return, he would find a way to allow them to thrive on the surface during the day. For a time the Beastmasters and the aberrant villagers managed to coexist. But nothing good lasts forever. Edmund became obsessed with his experiments with elementium. He reached a point where he stopped regarding the ecosystem and the safety of others. Whatever he was doing was damaging the environment, leaving radiation across the world, causing plant life to die. Odd crystals to form, the animals started forming glowing marks on their skin. Similar changes were affecting the aberrant villagers. The radiation caused the villagers' minds to degrade as well as growing glowing marks on their bodies till they reached a point where they lost all rational thought and reasoning and devolved into violent savages. They began attacking everything that moved with no regard for their own lives. They eventually evolved into two separate species, the scavs we know now, while the less fortunate became the nameless. Due to the violent attacks and environmental hazards, we had no choice but to abandon aberration. Storyboard ends. The scavs have populated aberration ever since. May finished. But what are they doing here in Remnant? Asked Ren. Perhaps the same reason me and Ms. Dunes are here. They must have been swept up in an anomaly such as a portal or vortex. May responded. Ashley then noticed a torn plush animal and signs of a struggle. The travelers had a kid with them. She told the others. There's no corpse or remains of a child. May added. They must have captured her along with a couple others to feed off of later. But there's no tracks leading anywhere. Said Weiss. Scavs aren't very smart, but they still are somewhat intelligent enough to attempt to cover their tracks. Ashley pointed out. But they happened to leave this stuffed animal with the girl's scent. She smirked. Time skip. Dusk looked on in fear as one of the savages rattled his bone knife across the cage she and her father were in, drooling and snarling at her. Her father hugged her tightly, shielding her eyes from the horrendous sight. The others were gathered around the campfire feasting upon the cooked remains of an unfortunate traveler, a couple even fighting over one of his legs. One giant fat one wearing a trike skull finished eating and let out a monstrous belch before ordering a couple other scavs in some odd language to grab the prisoners. While over in the bushes our heroes watched in disgust. Shit, they got a Goliath with them. Muttered Ashley as she put her tridents back in a cryopod. I'm assume you're referring to the disgustingly obese one. Weiss said, trying not to vomit at the sight of cannibalism. Yep, that fat ass is gonna be hard to take down. The scavs then prepared to kill the father and cook him for seconds. No. We have to save them. John yelled, running straight in. John, stop. Ashley yelled. John then got caught in a snare trap that yanked him into the air and leave him upside down as the smaller scavs surrounded him with spears. Shit, so much for stealth. Ashley muttered. She then put a bullet through the scav, getting ready to stab John. Pyrrha got him down by shooting the snare. Before switching to spear form to deal with a couple scavs that got to close. Blake parried a bone sword and cut open the neck of the scav wielding it. Glowing purple blood spilled out of the wound as the scav gurgled, reaching for his neck before toppling over dead. May threw her sword into the skull of another behind Blake. Try to be more aware of your surroundings next time. May scoffed. The fat one's mine. Nora shouted with a smirk, charging the Goliath. She swung Magnhild straight into his gut only for it to bounce off it with a boing sound. Nora stepped back with a nervous chuckle. The Goliath grinned and let out a snicker before ramming his gut into Nora, sending her flying into a tree. Young bashed a scav's face into the tree shortly after before turning to Nora with a smug look. Need a little help with the big boy. Okay, fine, but I get the credit for taking him out. Nora pouted. The Goliath pounded his gut and let out a gluttonous war belch and charged the girls. Meanwhile, Ruby sliced a scav in half with crescent rows before another pounced on her, knocking the scythe out of hand and sending them both off a cliff. Ruby was lucky enough to get a hold of a nearby branch. The scav, however, wasn't so lucky and plummeted to his death. Help! She screamed. May looked toward the cliff and walked up to look at Ruby holding on for dear life. The branch begun to break. Misley! She yelled. Please help me. But May just stood there staring at Ruby with a cold expression on her face. Misley, please. She begged. The branch finally gave and Ruby begun to scream, but a hand grabbed her arm. She opened her eyes to see it was May that grabbed her. May pulled her back up without a word, and began to walk away. Thank you, Misley, I thought you were just gonna let me F. Do not speak to me. May hissed at Ruby. Ruby reeled back in fear. May turned around once again and drew her blade to cut off the arm of an attacking scav. Meanwhile, the Goliath slammed his fists down on Young, but she slid under his legs and shot the Goliath in the rear. The Goliath let out an enraged roar and attempted to smack the blonde away, but Young was too fast. She rolled out of the way, allowing Nora to shoot a grenade at the open arm, blowing it off. The Goliath fell to its knees, howling in pain, allowing Nora and Young to hop on its back and used Magnhild to strangle the Goliath until a satisfying snap was heard. The gluttonous cannibal collapsed to the ground lifeless. *huff, see Nora, he wasn't so hard. Yeah, I showed him who's queen of the castle. Nora said smugly. Hey, I said I'd take credit. Nora snapped. A scav with a bone axe charged at the two, but then a metal arrow went flying into its eye and pinned it to the tree. Ashley lowered her compound. You two can compare breast size later, we're in the middle of a fight. she told them. After a few more minutes Pyrrha took out the last Skav by tripping it with her shield and plunging her blade into its neck. Everyone took a good look around to see if there were any more scavs. Looks like that was the last of them, said Young. Oh thank Aum, said the dad, those savages attacked us last night and begun to eat the dead. They even killed the huntsman accompanying us. I'm sorry go what you and your daughter had to go through, May said comforting the little traumatized girl. But at least both of you are unharmed. We can call in a bullhead if you'd like. Ruby offered. That would be fantastic thank you. Suddenly a female Skav pounced on Ashley out of nowhere. However Ashley happened to grab her by the arm and threw her over her shoulder and put a foot on the Skav's neck. Should have ran while you had the chance Smeagol, she said pointing the revolver to the Skav's head. Krashi does not fear you beast slaver, the Skav yelled. Ashley froze upon hearing the Skav, she never heard a Skav speak English. They understood the language that was certain but they would never speak the language of outsiders. The Skav apparently named Krashi looked to the others then suddenly stopped struggling upon seeing Ruby and the color eyes. Silver eyes, silver eyes, silver eyes. Silver eyes. Silver eyes. She chanted repeatedly. Ruby became scared, causing Ashley to snap back to reality and then cock her revolver. Now you asked for it bitch. Silver-eyed goddess, Krashi wishes to serve you. Ruby was stunned to hear her being called a goddess. Wait don't kill her. Ashley looked at Ruby in confusion, allowing Krashi the opportunity to bite her foot making Ashley let go of the Skav. Ack you fucking bitch. She yelled in pain before shooting at the Skav. Krashi got behind a tree and hissed at Ashley and the others. Before Ashley could fire again Ruby grabbed her. I said stop. She yelled. Have you lost your mind that's a cannibalistic savage? Ashley yelled back. I want to know what she's taking about. Ruby yelled back. It's nothing she's crazy don't listen to her. Let me hear her out. Ashley looked back at her and then back at the Skav. She then groaned finally making her decision. Time skip, asterisk. Krashi snarled and scratched at Professor Port from the metal cage she was in. Fascinating I never seen such a primitive being, he said stroking his mustache. However I don't know if this morally frowned upon since she's technically sentient. Just think of it as keeping her prisoner. Ashley said. Besides I'd rather put that Skav down faster than an injured animal. But Ruby insisted on bringing her to Beacon. She added. I just want to make sure she doesn't bite a chunk out of any students. Then why not lock her up in the prison? Port asked her. 'Cause she'd eat her cellmate, even if she got her own cell she might get a hold of one of the guards and you'll be surprised how much of a beating the average Skav can take. I see well it's a good thing we have her locked in the storage room. Port replied. Yeah just make sure not get to close Port, scavs tend to bite fingers off. Ashley sighed. Well then how would I be able to feed her? He raised a brow. Ashley handed him a metal pike with a cut of raw meat on it, and then patted him on the shoulder before leaving. As she walked out the door she noticed May across her leaning on the wall with her arms crossed. You are making a mistake letting the Silverblood talk to the Skav, she said flat out. Look Ruby is nothing like the other Silverbloods, Ashley said. She's has a pure heart. That's simply because she is not aware of the monster she is. If you hate her so much why did you save her? May let out a sigh. Even if she is our mortal enemy she is still a child, she explained. And I am not so cold as to let a child die, unlike Autumn. Ashley felt like there was more to that but she decided to not push her luck for now. Don't you have a class to teach? May said looking away. Oh shit. Ashley panicked and ran off. May looked to Ruby coming down the hall. This girl may be kind and compassionate, May thought to herself before leaving as well. But what Ashley does not realize is that Ruby is actually a part of the royal bloodline of Silver Bloods the Rose family, there's no mistaking it. She took another look back at Ruby. That is Autumn Rose's niece. And if she ends up giving in to the Rose family's hunger for glory and bloodshed, I'll have no choice but to kill her. Chapter 18, Spark of War. Pyrrha once more opened her eyes to see she was on the back of a griffin that was red, white and black. She looked ahead and recognized that it was Kazuma Drakeblood. To the side of them was Talahad on his Pteranodon looking cheerful as ever. Hey Kazuma, that's a real pretty griffin you found, I'm a bit jealous myself. Focus Talahad, Kazuma said out of annoyance, don't forget that we're out here to find who slaughtered that herd of trikes. Ugh, it's always business with you Kaz, it's still an hour away flight-wise, it's not gonna hurt to have a conversation. Kazuma ignored him and continued to look ahead. Hey Kazuma, you're not still mad about that little accident last week with Battlemaster Barris are ya? Yes. He glared back at Talahad. Oh come on, I told you it was a prank gone wrong. Talahad whined. How and why did you end up with her underwear on your head? He snapped. Not to mention you drug me into it and next thing I know I had to shovel Dino shit for a week. Talahad snickered remembering how pissed Kazuma was shoveling poop. Look, I said I was sorry, I just panicked was all. He said holding his hands up. You know how scary Barris is. Kazuma rolled his eyes and scoffed. It should have been you shoveling feces. Pyrrha couldn't help but smile. The two reminded her of Ren and Nora in a way. You know why? Kazuma was cut off by seeing Talahad staring down at something in shock. Talahad, what's wrong? Once again Kazuma was cut off by Talahad flying down. Talahad. Damn it. Kazuma said in frustration before gliding down after him. Kazuma and Pyrrha got off once the griffin landed and followed Talahad behind some trees. Talahad, what the hell do you? Kazuma stopped mid-sentence once he saw what grabbed his attention. It was a wild Rex with its entire stomach slit open, and the worst part was that it was still alive and in tremendous pain. Oh God. Kazuma said before rushing over to Talahad who was comforting the beast. Talahad looked over to Kazuma with tears in his eyes. What kind of monster could do such a thing? He wept. Kazuma could not bring himself to say anything. He simply looked at the Rex in pain knowing what he had to do. He took out his sword and knelt down to the beast and calmly plunged it into the Rex's skull ending its suffering. Both the Beastmasters and Pyrrha stood in silence for what felt for ages. You should have left it to die, yelled a female voice. The three of them turned to see a group of warriors in red and black attire staring down at them, but what stuck out most of all was their silver eyes. The leader was a woman that resembled Ruby, but her hair was longer and tied into a ponytail and her cape was a shadowy shade of black. Did you do this? Talahad snapped at her in rage. Getting his weapon out. Talahad, stand down. Kazuma ordered his comrade. Are you responsible for this creature's suffering? I suppose you could say that. She huffed. I am Autumn Rose, Queen of the Silverbloods, and you must be those so-called Beastmasters. Why? Kazuma asked with a glare. We believed it provided a great challenge to fight due to how highly held the creature has been, however it barely lasted a minute, so why even bother honoring it with a quick death? She said with no remorse. You black-hearted bi. Talahad. Kazuma yelled, keeping him down. I don't know what ideology you people follow, but we will not allow the suffering of any life nor the act of killing for sport. Kazuma said with a tone of authority. I will tell you this once, leave the Arc system and return to where you came from or you're going to face the wrath of the Beastmaster Order. Autumn chuckled as she got off the horse she was riding and got up in Kazuma's face. Last I checked, the Arc system is untamed land, so there's only one rule that applies to the wild. I believe it was survival of the fittest. She smirked. So I believe that you Beastmasters have no authority here, which means we can do whatever we want. That's it? Talahad roared, charging Autumn with his blade out. Talahad, no! Kazuma yelled. And within the blink of an eye Talahad's severed arm fell to the ground. Talahad grabbed at the bloody stump that used to be his left arm as he fell to the ground crying in agony. Autumn smirked as she readied to decapitate him on the spot, but his pteranodon flew at her to defend his master. So she then sliced the pterosaur's head off in front of his master. Ha, how pathetic. She laughed. As she once more readied herself to finish Talahad. Kazuma then knocked her sword out of the way before giving her a slash on the cheek. With her stunned from the attack, he threw a smoke grenade, grabbed his wounded comrade and escaped on his griffin. Autumn touched the slash on her cheek and looked at the blood before smiling and looking back at Kazuma as he fled. Summer. She called out to her younger sister. Yes, sister? She responded. Do you know where on the island these Beastmasters live? Pyrrha was horrified by how quickly things shifted and how quick Autumn was. Hang in there, Talahad, we'll get you home. Kaz, I'm sorry I've been such idiot. Talahad said weakly. It's alright, Talahad, you're gonna be fine. When we get home we'll have Dia build you a new arm, okay Talahad? Talahad? Talahad lay limp, not responding. Pyrrha already knew he was gone. No. Kazuma said in denial. He landed the griffin and pulled Talahad off. Talahad, wake up, don't do this. Kazuma yelled, shaking his lifeless corpse. Talahad, open your eyes. No. Kazuma finally accepted Talahad was gone and cried out in agony over the death of his friend. Pyrrha felt pity for Kazuma and hung her head in sorrow. Next thing she knew, she saw May and Kazuma along with a few in front of Talahad's grave. God, Talahad, I always thought you were annoying, but Dia begun only to hold her tongue to keep herself from crying. Kazuma, don't blame yourself, said an older Beastmaster. You did what you could. These Silverbloods are black-hard monsters. I'll make them pay for what they done to Draco, said a Beastmasters that looked to be 18. Oscar. May snapped at him. Don't let your anger control you. Your enemies will use it against you. The one called Oscar hung his head. Forgive me, Grandmaster. May turned to Kazuma. Follow me, Master Drakeblood. Pyrrha followed along as they conversed. Did any of the Silver Bloods see you come here? May asked. No, Grandmaster, they had no aerial transport to follow me. Why do you ask? We have had a string of Beastmaster going missing. The most recent one was a younger woman. We recently discovered her corpse alongside her dead dinos. May said. This all we found on her. Kazuma looked to see a paper with a black rose painted on it. It would seem these Silver Bloods intend to start a war with us. She said, looking out to the horizon. Call the Beastmasters from the other worlds and tell them to return to the home island. But what about the villagers? Asked Kazuma. Send word out for them not to stray more than 50 feet from their homes. May responded. Yes, Grandmaster. Kazuma said with a bow before venturing off. Pyrrha couldn't tell what was going through May's mind as she stared out to the horizon, but whatever it was troubling her. Pyrrha then awoke from the dream and silently walked out of the room, letting her teammates sleep. She walked outside to see May staring out at the night sky. You had another dream, didn't you? May immediately asked. Yes, I am sorry about what happened to Talahad. May turned to look at Pyrrha. What you saw happened a millennia ago, but still I would not want to think of what happened as of now. I understand. Pyrrha asked. You should get some more rest, child. I heard the headmaster is expecting someone important tomorrow. Pyrrha nodded and did just that. May took one last look into the sky before heading to bed herself. Chapter 19, Ashley vs. Winter. Ashley woke up and yawned before getting out of bed. She brewed some coffee and opened her blinds. Sun's shining, grass is green as ever, birds chirping, an entire fleet of military ships outside the window landing down on the academy's premises. Yep, just another average day. She said before taking a drink of coffee and heading towards the bathroom, only to come running back. Shit, they found me again. Ashley bursted out of the room half-dressed, yelling like a maniac. The Federation's here, run for your lives. It's the end times have come. We're all gonna die. Weiss opened her dorm door. Who is yelling so loud at 5 in the morning? She groaned, rubbing sleep out of her eye. Save yourselves, the women and children can wait. Ashley screamed, running past her. Oh, that's who? Weiss deadpanned. Ashley ran outside, digging in her cryopod bag. Come on, where's Buck? Ms. Dunes, wait. Glinda said, jogging out after her. Ms. Dunes. Fuck it, I'll use this. Ashley said whilst pulling out an RPG. Ms. Dunes. Glinda yelled, pulling Ashley back with her semblance. It's just Ironwood and his Outlesion fleet. Oh. Well, in my defense, seeing an entire fleet outside your window wouldn't be very comforting. Just put some clothes on. Glinda sighed, heading inside. Ashley looked down to see she had nothing but pants and a bra on. She immediately covered her chest and grew redder than a tomato. Time skip, asterisk. So does this Ironwood guy usually show up with an entire bloody army? Asked Somaya. Not usually, but I assure you that he means well. Said Glinda. Oh, and please keep Katie on a tight leash while the Atlesians are here. I don't want that madwoman to get herself shot trying to ride a paladin or something equally as idiotic. Not to worry, Goodwitch, I got me good eye on her. Weiss ran out of the academy. Oh my god, she's here. She yelled in excitement, almost running Ashley over. Whoa, what's got Weiss all stirred up? Ashley followed her over to see her talking to an older woman that looked a lot like Weiss. Well, would you look at that, Charlie looks like Snowflake's got an older sister she looks up to. Ashley smiled. Why don't we go meet her? Charlie nodded in approval as Ashley walked toward the Schnee sisters. Hey, you must be Weiss's sister, Ashley said cheerfully while holding her hand out for a handshake. I'm Ashley, nice to meet you, Mississippi. The older Schnee sister looked to Ashley's hand, then moved her gaze to her eyes, unamused. So can I get your name? Ashley said, feeling a little awkward by the woman's silence. Specialist Winter Schnee, she said in a rather rude tone. And from what I heard, Miss Dunes, you must be the one responsible for this mess. You should be grateful I don't have you arrested right now. Pardon? Ashley said, slightly offended. Don't waste my time, you Neanderthal. I need to meet the general in the headmaster's office. Neanderthal? Ashley said, becoming enraged by this egotistic specialist. I happen to have PhD in paleontology and 2 degrees in history. Winter snickered a bit upon hearing her achievements. What a useless career choice. Nobody digs up fossils anymore. No wonder you seemed so pathetic. You wasted your life pursuing a dead career. She said. Ashley became furious upon hearing that. First the people of Earth, now this smug bitch. Come along now, Weiss, we should get going. Winter said to her little sister. Weiss silently apologized to Ashley before joining her sister along with 2 Atlesian knights. Ashley is usually a kind person, but once some egotistical asshole insults her to her face and walks away as if she was trash, that's where she draws the line. She then got an idea when she saw her Moschops Mike taking a dump nearby, and got some gloves. Back with Winter she happened to run into an old drunken acquaintance. I heard old Ironwood finally turned his back on Ashbin. The scruffy man said. Weiss, it's time for you to go. Winter said. Listen to your big sister Weiss, she'll protect you, the man said sarcastically. Just like Atlas is gonna protect all of us. If you won't hold your tongue, Winter began. Then I'll gladly rem. Winter was cut off by something slimy hitting her in the back, the stench alone tipped her off on what it was. She screamed in disgust as she quickly took off her jacket and threw it on the ground to reveal to everyone it was Dino feces. Oh, I'm sorry, that looked expensive. Ashley said with a smug face. But in my defense, I don't know any better, after all I'm just a savage Neanderthal. Winter has never been more furious. She drew her sword at Ashley. I shall have your head for that. She hissed. Bring it on, you fucking bitch, ICLE. Ashley roared back. Professor Dunes, what do you think you're doing? Weiss nagged. Zip it, titless. She snapped at her. Eep, was all Weiss could let out, being taken aback from that remark. Winter lunged at Ashley with a terrifying speed. Ashley ducked just in time to avoid losing her head and delivered a right hook to the Atlesian specialist, knocking the wind out of her. Taken aback by the unexpected blow, backed up a couple steps. Nice try, but I held my own against shit faster than you. Ashley snarled as she got into a brawling stance. Atlesian troops, Beacon students, and others gathered around to watch the fight that was about to commence. Crow was the most interested in the fight as he took out his flask and sat down with a smile. I thought Ashley was more professional than this, Weiss huffed. Somebody needs to inform Ironwood or Ashbin. Yeah, kick her, but Professor Dunes. Ruby cheered. Ruby, you dolt. Don't encourage her. Weiss nagged her leader. Just enjoy the show, kids, just enjoy the show. Crow smirked as he took a swig from his flask. Ashley then threw another punch, but this time Winter pushed her attack to the side, spun around her and gave Ashley's other arm a slash from her saber. Ashley took a couple steps back and grasped her wound. Attempting to fight an Atlesian specialist without an aura or semblance? You truly are insane. Winter scoffed at her opponent. You sure like to talk a lot of shit for someone who brought a sword to a fist fight. Ashley retorted. Winter thrusted her sword with the intent to kill. Ashley rolled out of the way and gave Winter a sweep kick, knocking her off balance and face first into mud. She picked herself up with her face covered in mud. You know mud baths are a thing, heard it's good for the skin. Ashley smirked. She angrily swung her sword at Ashley, only for the Beastmaster to grab it and head butt Winter. The specialist ducked, avoiding another right hook as the crowd begun to cheer on both fighters. Winter slashed Ashley across the chest, cutting her desert cloth shirt open. Ashley fell to her knees as her supporters gasped. I'll tell you what, Ms. Dunes, if you lick my uniform clean, I might just let you off with a warning. Winter said, pointing her sword at her. Ashley began to laugh, catching everyone by surprise. Winter, was it? She smiled as she looked up at her. Listen, if there's one thing I learned during my time surviving in the Ark system, is that whenever I'm fighting someone stronger or more powerful, I don't have to match your strength. I just gotta be smarter than you. Ashley immediately slammed the rock she was hiding into Winter's crotch, smashing her womanhood. It even showed an X-ray of the damage. Everyone in the crowd winced at the dirty blow. Winter dropped her weapon, screaming in pain as she grabbed her crotch in a vain attempt to soothe the pain. Ashley kicked the saber away, finally evening the playing field. So Maya brought out Ashley's radio, which was currently playing Black Betty by Spiderbait. Thanks for lending me the rock, Katie. Ashley said, tossing it back to its owner. You still owe me 500 scrap metal ingots. She hollered back. Ashley ran up and gave Winter a right uppercut followed by a left hook. Winter ducked the following left hook and punched Ashley in the gut and kneed her in the face. Ashley fell into the mud but quickly recovered and threw a lump of mud at Winter, who dodged it but then got tackled by Ashley. The Beastmaster then started to repeatedly punch Winter in the face until the specialist threw her off and quickly got up to retrieve her weapon. Oh no, you don't, bitch. Ashley yelled as she drop-kicked Winter as they both fell into the mud once again. This is kinda hot, not gonna lie, said a male spectator. Both women stopped fighting momentarily to shoot him a death glare. He in return put his hands up and ran off. Winter head-butted Ashley off her and got the blonde in a choke hold. Ashley grabbed some mud and slapped it in Winter's face. Winter took a few steps back and cleaned the mud off her face and growled at Ashley. Disgusting. Ashley gave a smug look before engaging the specialist again. Winter faked a strike, causing Ashley to block prematurely, and then punched the Beastmaster in the gut and then knee her in the face. The two continued to trade blows until they both were restrained. Let me go, Glinda. Ashley yelled in anger, trying to fight off the professor. I'm gonna shove that toothpick of a sword up her ass. You damn savage. Trying to break out of her restrainer's grip as well. We wouldn't be here if you hadn't led these new enemies here. You think I wanted to come to shithole? That's enough out of the both of you. yelled Winter's restrainer. Winter's eyes went wide as she turned to see it was General James Ironwood. General, forgive me, I didn't know it was. Enough, Winter. Ms. Dune's friend here informed me of how disrespectful you were towards her earlier. I'm disappointed in you. Ironwood scolded as he gestured to Wolf, who just nodded. But Jenner, don't let it happen again, he said with an authoritative tone. Yes, General, Winter said reluctantly. Ironwood let Winter go. She glared at Ashley as she headed inside Beacon. Ashley gave her one last smug look. That's what you get for being a pretentious cunt. She smirked. As for you, Ashley Dunes, Ironwood continued, walking up to her. I expected you to be more professional than this. Wait, what the fuck did I do? Ashley snapped. You attacked my specialist over a simple insult. He explained. Oh, give me break, somebody needed to kick her ass. And what made you think you were the one to do it? He narrowed. Ironwood then let out a sigh. But seeing how you managed to hold your own against one of Atlas's best specialists, I can see we are lucky to have you on our side. Ashley looked at him dumbfounded. Thanks, she said with an unsure tone. As the general headed towards the headmaster's office, Somaya walked toward the two blondes. Was he pissed off or impressed by old Dino girl? The Scot said in confusion. I am not sure. Glinda sighed as she let go of Ashley. Just please try to be professional and keep your temper under control, Ms. Dunes. Ashley let out a sigh of defeat. Fine. As both blondes got into the elevator, they were joined by the scruffy man. Do you guys just let any drunkard into the academy? Glinda sighed. Ms. Dunes, this is Crow Branwen, a teacher at Signal Academy. Okay, then why is he drunk? Ashley said, raising a brow. He's always drunk, Glinda stated out. I see, so what's he doing here then? I'm a friend of Oshbin's. He smirked. So Ashley, right, it sure was nice seeing Winter get her ass kicked by such a beautiful woman. Yeah, I'm not into scruffy drunks who smell like crap. Crow just shrugged. You're lost, dollface. Yeah, I don't think I'll be missing out on anything. Ashley said to herself. I'll take you up on that offer, mate. Somaya smirked. I know a good bar round Vale. Crow smirked. Well, you sure bloody know how to keep a lass entertained. Somaya laughed. The elevator opened up to the headmaster's office. Crow Branwen, I see you've met Professor Ashley Dunes. Oshbin said. I did indeed, Oz, and boy, for human from another world she is quite a piece of eye candy. Crow said, giving Ashley the let me hit that ass look. Ashley shivered in disgust. If you were one of my men, I would have you shot just for saying that. Ironwood said, shaking his head. James, if I was one of your men, I'd shoot myself. Crow said, rolling his eyes. Can we just get down to business, people? Ashley said, starting to get annoyed. Yes, of course. James said, walking over to Oshbin. Is he always like that? Ashley sighed. Yes. Glinda shrugged. It's almost as if he turns everything into a contest of measuring dicks. He turns everything into a contest of measuring dicks. Glinda and Ashley looked at each other, slightly taken aback from them both saying the same thing in unison. Okay, that was weird, Ashley said. We should go meet with the boys. Right. Glinda nodded. So, General, have you had any previous encounters with the Federation? Ashley asked as she joined the table. A few, yes, the General replied. They take out any troops and bullheads I had nearby patrolling certain areas. Yeah, that's to be expected, Ashley sighed. Okay, so I don't suppose the people of Remnant invented space travel yet? Unfortunately, no. Bloody hell, so much for trying to get a message to the Union. Somaya sighed. They probably would have locked down the planet by the time we got a ship out anyways, said Ashley. So tell me what you got in your arsenal, James. The General then told Ashley everything about the Atlesian army and what it was capable of. Well, it's not much, but it'll have to make do, Ashley said while thinking of what to do next. You shouldn't underestimate our weaponry and technology. Winter scowled at her. Okay, first off, I wasn't talking to you, bitch Eichel. Ashley snapped at the specialist. And second off, the Federation not only has more advanced weapons and tech, but they also have troops experienced with warfare against other humans. The only thing your soldiers faced up to now are grim, not mention they outnumber your military 10-1. So I'm pretty sure it's safe to assume we're at a huge disadvantage. So what do you propose, Ashley? James said, holding Winter back. I'm willing to guess Eleanor is bringing a whole invasion force over, but we may have a fighting chance if we find out which base they're setting up the transmitter and 2 Malawian Quatch's teleporter. Ashley said. We hit it with an assault force and take out the transmitter, which will throw off the welcoming party's navigation. Then we take out the teleporter to prevent them from getting another transmitter up right away. After that, Eleanor's trip to Remnant should be delayed. We'll use that time to take out the other bases and outposts, and if we're lucky the Federation will not see Remnant not worth the effort and hopefully return to the Arc system. Guerrilla warfare? It could work, I suppose, but what could stop us from just bombarding their strongholds with an airship? Ironwood asked. Their anti-aircraft guns will shred you fleet apart, James. Ashley said, placing her hand on her hip. I've seen what their guns' placements are capable of myself, James. Crow said, taking a swig from his flask. Even the Grim won't go near them. Winter groaned, this is unbelievable, we're really just gonna listen to Crow and this Sava. A loud explosion was suddenly heard outside, cutting Winter off. Everyone looked down from the window to see one of the Elysian ships destroyed by some kind of large tech pod. Then 2 more pods slammed into the ground from the sky. The soldiers and knights had their guns at the ready as they engaged the pods. Nothing seemed to happen for a while. That's it, they're just gonna throw hunks of metal at us? Winter sighed. No, something's not right. Ironwood said, growing more concerned by the second. Glinda, get the students to safety now. Ashbin ordered, sharing his concern. The pod slowly begun to open. Ashley suddenly went pale. James, get your men out of there now, she hollered. The pod door was suddenly sent flying, destroying a row of Elysian knights, as a Beowulf walked out, but it wasn't no ordinary Beowulf, it was larger. Its hide was now gray metallic armor. Glowing yellow lights are now where its red eyes used to be, and its claws glowed with energy. Open fire! A soldier yelled as all the others unloaded their clips into the beast. The tech Beowulf curled up into a defensive ball as every bullet bounced off of it harmlessly. As soon as the guns were all emptied, the Beowulf uncurled as it opened its maw to show a glowing blue light. He then got on all fours and the blue light grew even brighter. Incoming! Shouted a soldier in panic as she and other soldiers ran away. But it was too late, as plasma bolts rapidly shot out of its mouth like a mini gun, mowing down all the knights and shredding through a huge quarter of the troops. It then turned to the ships and unloaded the rest of the bolts into them, severely damaging 2 and destroying 3. The light finally faded from its mouth and it brandished its claws and moved in to take care of the survivors. The other pods opened up to reveal a tech Stegosaurus and some infantry. Impossible, it just tore through an entire platoon of troops. Winter said in shock. Yeah, I get it, elite variants are really scary and powerful, Ashley said as she grabbed her gear. Now come on, we have to help them. Ms. Dunes, where you going? The elevator is back there, Glinda said as she saw Ashley charge toward the window. Sorry in advance, she yelled back and jumped through the window. She's a madwoman, Ironwood said in shock. She's certainly brave, I'll give her that, Crow said before jumping after her. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. Support the writer. Don't forget to like, sub and share.